What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. 10 RG Chapter 271 Sage Art Lightning Style Chidori. Air, don't underestimate my strength, you won't get any benefits from fighting with me, it's just a waste of time. I will give you the eternal pointer of the Valley of God, and I will also give you some precious treasures as compensation. Charlotte Linlin's face sank, and she said in a good voice. Waste of time? I don't think you'll be able to hold on to my hands for long. Linlin, 39. Although Air is really desperate to get the eternal pointer of the Valley of the Gods. Resurrect Rox with the help of the Rinne Tensai technique. Want to know? With the help of outsider Rinne Tensai technique, how long can people survive this experiment? But he really didn't think that destroying the nations would be a waste of his time. You guy, do you have to fight today? Charlotte Linlin said with murderous intent in her eyes. You provoked this, 783, fight Linlin. Do you really think I'm good-natured? 35. It seems that there is no more talk between us. 35. Zeus. Charlotte Linlin roared, and then a white cloud Zeus appeared from above her head. The next second, the white cloud turned black, and then floated high into the sky. The originally sunny sky was suddenly covered with dark clouds, and lightning flashed. Thundercloud Zeus, it is Charlotte Linlin who poured the power of the soul into Zeus's body, and the powerful soul body was born. Charlotte Linlin's development of devil fruit has already reached an amazing level. Zeus, who was infused with the power of his soul, already possesses the power to manipulate lightning at will. Heaven is full of free gods. Charlotte Linlin roared loudly, and countless thunder and lightning flashed in the sky. Endless electric light hovered above the two of them. Suddenly, a terrifying thunderbolt struck Air directly. The ferocious white lightning has extremely strong destructive power and penetrating power. Those who are struck by lightning will be half disabled even if they don't die. Boom! Accompanied by a monstrous bang, it spread to everyone's ears. A huge and ferocious thunderbolt directly covered Air's entire body. It wasn't over yet, and a few bright lights flashed in the sky again, followed by a few terrifying boundless flashes, hitting Air. A burst of gray smoke and dust suddenly rose from the scene, covering the sun. Advertisement: countless people in the country are watching the direction of the smoke and dust nervously. Now they can only pin their hopes on Charlotte Linlin. If Charlotte Linlin can beat Air, not to mention the protection of all nations, she can even become the strongest pirate in the New World. Conversely, if Charlotte Linlin loses, their nations will also go to the road of destruction because of this. This attack is useless. As the thick smoke and dust slowly dissipated, Air came out of the lightning strike intact. On his clothes, there were still sparks of ZZ that were on fire. But his body was not injured in the slightest. How is it possible that this guy is not injured at all with a hard blow from Thundercloud Zeus, 95. It's over, today our nations are over, this monster will definitely destroy us all. Damn it, why do we provoke such a terrifying monster? Seeing everything in front of them, countless pirates were immediately terrified and slumped on the ground. Air's casual knife easily broke Charlotte Linlin's arm wrapped around armament hockey. And Charlotte Linlin's attack, let alone breaking the defense, didn't even leave the slightest injury. The huge difference in strength is obvious. What should I do, Katakuri? If we continue to fight, Mother will die, and at the same time we are very likely to die here. Pello asked nervously. Hearing his words, Katakuri's face was also extremely heavy. At present, he has never thought of any method that can target Air. Damn. Seeing that her attack was ineffective, Charlotte Linlin also panicked a little at this time. Let's see what a real thunderbolt is, Linlin. The words fell, and I saw a layer of terrifying thunder and lightning wrapped around Air's fist, which was flickering non-stop. Although Air did not learn the lightning style ninjutsu. But don't forget, the system that Air inherited when he came to this world is the Sage of Six Paths system. Now, regarding the abilities that can be developed and promoted on the Sage of Six Paths system panel. He has already mastered all of them. Now, he has fully inherited the real power of Sage of Six Paths. Advertisement in the ninjutsu master of the Hokage ninja world where Sage of Six Paths is located. At this time, Air can also be master. If he can't be a master, why is the system he awakened called the Sage of Six Paths system? Sage Art Lightning Style Chidori, 35. With Air's light slam, the thunder and lightning on his fist flashed with a more violent and terrifying aura. The lightning that gathers from Air's fist is more powerful than the lightning that Charlotte Linlin unleashes. Even the lightning flashes in the sky. He also suffered an inexplicable attraction, and gathered towards Air's fist. The sky, which had been covered by dark clouds and flashed with thunder and lightning, was restored to a clear sky in an instant. Thundercloud Zeus, as if his body was hollowed out at this time, fell directly to the ground from a high altitude. The power of lightning above Air's fist, It is constantly flickering and flickering, making the space around it seem to be distorted. Air stomps and closes Charlotte Linlin with his own swiftness. Air. Watching Air approach, Charlotte Linlin growled. Quickly cover the top of the fist with a layer of top armament hockey, and the power of Conqueror's entanglement. Attack towards Air. Boom. Air's lightning-covered fist collided with Charlotte Linlin's terrifying 4.32 color hockey. At the scene, a white light suddenly flashed. The next moment, the endless lingering power of lightning covered Charlotte Linlin's entire body. No matter how terrible Charlotte Linlin's defense is. But the penetrating power of Sage Art lightning-style Chidori is extremely terrifying. The power of the destructive thunderbolt, like endless annihilation, swirled, covered, and devoured Charlotte Linlin. Caused her a lot of damage. The fists of the two collided for a few seconds. Air relies on his own terrifying power alone. It directly knocked Charlotte Linlin's body to a distance of dozens of meters. With Charlotte Linlin steadying her body, everyone can see that there are many scars left by lightning on her body, and blood is constantly infiltrating outward. Advertisement Chapter 272, the Obito Edition Sage of Six Paths reappears. The defense is higher than I thought, Linlin, 39. Air calmly looked at Charlotte Linlin in front of him. The other party is indeed a woman with the title of Steel Balloon. In terms of defensive power, there are not many people in the whole world who can compare with her. If this were someone else, if they resisted Air's blow Sage Art lightning-style Chidori hard, they would be severely injured even if they didn't die. And Charlotte Linlin, at this time, only suffered a slightly serious skin injury. Damn, has this guy become so strong? 35 Charlotte Linlin stared at Air with a grim look. Although it has been from the newspaper, it is possible to guess how strong Air is. But after the fight really started, she couldn't help but be shocked. Because the strength of the other party is much more terrifying than she imagined. Everyone makes progress, but you're progressing too slowly, Linlin. In terms of talent and growth rate, Charlotte Linlin is actually not slow. After all, no matter what the future says, she will occupy the top of the world and become the woman of the four emperors. However, her talent and growth speed are completely insignificant in front of Air. There is really no one in this world that can grow faster than Air. Don't underestimate me. B******************** D. I'm not as easy to deal with as you think. 39. Charlotte Linlin's eyes flashed with murderous intent, and she said coldly. Your defense is indeed a bit tricky, but I will make this fight a quick one. Air's strength, there is no doubt that it is absolutely above Charlotte Linlin. However, the opponent's defense is indeed a bit troublesome. Even if you can beat it, it will take a while. But the current Air doesn't want to waste any time in this world. Let this battle end as quickly as possible, 10 tails. In order to resolve the battle quickly, Air intends to draw directly on the strength of the 10 tails. With Air's light ZHA, 10 tails, who had been sealed in his body by him, slowly woke up. Then, from Air's body, a large amount of chakra power is poured into it. Advertisement The endless power merged into Air's body, causing his aura to undergo earth-shaking changes. Air is now able to fully manipulate the power of the 10 tails though. Become the real 10 tails Jinchuriki and the full Sage of Six Paths. Still, against a character like Charlotte Linlin, it's not worth Air being the full Sage of Six Paths. I saw purple steam lingering around Air's body, with 5 scales growing out of his back. Air at this time. He was not wearing Sage of Six Paths clothes, nor did he have a truth-seeking ball behind his back, nor was he holding a Six Paths tin stick. Air's current form. Exactly. Semi-complete Sage of Six Paths. Although only semi-perfect, but Air in this form is particularly terrifying. After all, back in the Holy Land Marijoy, he drew on the power of the semi-perfect Sage of Six Paths. One person fought 4 or 5 elders alone, beheaded 3. After becoming a semi-complete Sage of Six Paths, Air exudes terror beyond ultimate. Endless purple chi lingered around him, making him stand tall in the sky like a fairy. The unparalleled coercion shrouded the hearts of all nations and countless people. What ability is this? This guy has become different from just now. Come on, just kidding, wasn't this monster's full strength just now? No, my mother will definitely be killed today. The strength shown by the monster Air just now surpassed my mother, and now he has become stronger. Seeing Air become a semi-complete Sage of Six Paths, countless pirates slumped to the ground in fright. The whole body was covered in cold sweat, and that terrifying sense of oppression was approaching Tianlingai. Their legs and feet trembled uncontrollably, and their souls felt the shiver like Shinigami. Looking at Air standing high in the sky, Cracker couldn't help swallowing, his voice trembling. This guy is simply invincible. Now they finally know why they're in Logue Town. The 3 main forces of Roger's regiment joined forces to deal with Air and were still defeated. Because Air is not a person at all, let alone a monster. It's a terrifying existence that surpasses monsters. Advertisement looking at air in front of them, all they felt was an endless sense of fear. Run away, Katakuri, my mother will definitely be killed. After my mother dies, it is likely to be us. Pelospello reminded Katakuri. Seeing that Katakuri did not speak, Pelospello did not hesitate at all, and fled directly into the distance. Although Pelospello is Charlotte Linlin's biological son, it also has a pivotal position in the entire world. But he wasn't loyal to Charlotte Linlin. For example, in the original book, he was looking forward to the death of Charlotte Linlin. Become the new master of the nations. Smoothie looked at the back of Pelospello's escape, and his heart was also greatly shaken. Continue to stay here, almost certain death, but if you run away, there is still a chance. Our country is about to destroy Katakuri today, don't blame us for running away, everything is for survival. 783. After thinking about it again and again, Smoothie just left this sentence for Katakuri and ran away. Seeing Smoothie and Pelospello escape, countless pirates immediately followed suit and fled the battlefield. Originally, tens of thousands of pirates were watching, but after a while, only a few hundred people remained in place. Some of this group was loyal to Charlotte Linlin, who didn't want to run away. Others are because their legs are constantly shaking, and their souls are suppressed by fear, which prevents them from running away with their hands and feet. Mother. Katakuri, looking at the countless fleeing crowd, also felt a little shake in his heart. However, in the end he insisted on being here, staying with Charlotte Linlin until the very last moment. Center of the battlefield. Air and Charlotte looked at each other sharply. This is your true power, Air? Charlotte Linlin was startled with cold sweat on her forehead and said grimly. Although it has not yet played against Air in this state. But Charlotte Linlin was on her body and felt an incomparable coercion. His soul was telling her that he was definitely no match for Air. Fighting against it, he will definitely not have the slightest chance of winning. Absolutely will lose because of this. Chapter 273 Sage Art Ashura Spiral Shuriken. No, it's not worth my real power to deal with you. Not long ago, Air had only upgraded the power of the immortal eye to the full level. In turn, the power of 10 tails can be fully manipulated to become a complete Sage of 6 Paths. But, use the full power of Sage of 6 Paths. Dealing with Charlotte Linlin is like bombarding mosquitoes. Totally unnecessary. The semi-complete Sage of 6 Paths is enough to easily get rid of Charlotte Linlin. Isn't it all your strength? Charlotte Linlin was startled when she heard Air's words. Now the combat power that Air has, I am afraid that it has been able to surpass the countless powerhouses in the sea. Such a terrifying gesture, isn't it Air's full power? So, when Air uses all his strength, what level of terror will his combat power be? Charlotte Linlin really didn't dare to think further down. Now, she regrets it so much, why didn't she directly hand over the eternal pointer of the Valley of God to Air? Otherwise, today, she will not be destroyed, however, regret is too late. The only thing she can do now is to fight to the last moment. Even if there is no chance of winning, she can only continue to fight. Although he felt endless fear for Air in his heart. But her inner arrogance, and she who wants to become a great Poseidon, will not allow herself to kneel down and admit defeat. Air! Charlotte Linlin roared, and then turned the hat on her head into a blade and held it in her hand. Either way, the final outcome will be death. At this last moment, fight till the last moment. Charlotte Linlin, pressing the fear in her heart, stared at Air with endless fighting intent. Air buffs gun powerful country. Charlotte Linlin clenched the Emperor's sword in both hands, and then charged her arms. A terrifying two-color hockey was wrapped around the blade, and then with all his strength, he slashed towards Air. A slashing slash of the Heaven and Jedi, with the potential to destroy everything, rushed towards Air. This blow seems to be able to easily tear apart the earth and destroy the mountains. But such an attack, in front of Air's semi-complete Sage of 6 Paths, was like child's play. Advertisement. Air gently waved the blade in his hand, directly severing the sword energy that was rushing towards him. Too weak, Linlin. In terms of strength, the current Charlotte Linlin is also the top powerhouse in this sea. But in front of Air, her strength was as small as an ant. Let me show you what true power is, Linlin. 55. Air put the blade in his hand back into the scabbard, and then said with a light ZHA. 6 Paths Sage Art Ashura Spiral Shuriken. As his voice fell, he saw two terrifying Rasengans condensed in his palm. 6 Paths Sage Art Ashura Spiral Shuriken is the strongest skill used by Naruto in the Valley of the End. The power is comparable to that of Sasuke's destructive arrow of Indra. Air now not only master has all the abilities of Sage of 6 Paths, but also ninjutsu. At the same time, the ability of Rasengan, he also mastered it a long time ago. Therefore, he can naturally release such moves. I saw Air condensed yellow Rasengan in his left hand and black Rasengan in his right hand. The terrifying Rasengan, in his palms, kept spinning and then swelled and grew bigger. With the energy of Rasengan, it is constantly converging and multiplying. The two Rasengans in his hand have swelled to the point where they are as magnificent as the sun. One yellow and one black Rasengan, like the sun and the moon, condensed from Air's palm. UB******************* D. 35 Charlotte Linlin, looking at Air in horror. When Air enters the semi-complete sage of six paths. Hard power is scary enough, but what she didn't expect was that Air could still unleash such world-destroying moves. Looking at the two giant Rasengans condensed in Air's palm. Charlotte Linlin, once again filled with fear, her fighting spirit was directly suppressed. The battle is over, Linlin. Air's words fell, and he directly smashed the two huge ones. The amazing Rasengan threw it at Charlotte Linlin. The terrifying Rasengan, with his world-destroying ultimate power, charged towards Charlotte Linlin. Although she wanted to dodge the attack, but the speed of these two Rasengans was too fast, filling her entire perspective in an instant. Make her unavoidable. Advertisement, light cannon, 35. Charlotte Linlin, who knows she can't avoid it, can only try one last bet. Following her order, Horsme and Zeus all appeared on both sides of her. Although Zeus was previously released by Air, Sage Art, lightning-style Chidori took time out of his body. However, its body, after all, is injected with the power of the soul. So, as long as Charlotte Linlin doesn't die, its thunderbolt power will soon be restored to its original state. I saw that the sun god Horsme was holding the end of the Emperor's sword, and Zeus, the thundercloud, was holding the top of the Emperor's sword. A terrifying ring of energy formed. Charlotte Linlin holds a knife in both hands and charges a blow. Put all your power, Hockey, into this knife. To counter, Air unleashed the Six Paths Sage Art Ashura Spiral Shuriken. Shua! Charlotte Linlin slashed out, containing the sword energy condensed by the Emperor's sword, Hotsme, Zeus, Hockey, and swordsmanship. It rushed out. The terrifying power seems to be able to destroy the earth and destroy everything. But this sword energy of hers touched the Rasengan released by Air. In an instant, it vanished into ashes and was swallowed up by it. How is this possible? Charlotte Linlin's pupils contract violently. He never thought of her, Zhao Qianhao's full blow. In front of the Rasengan released by Air, he was so vulnerable that he was directly devoured by it. Before he could panic for a long time, two Rasengans had already arrived in front of her. Boom! 99 accompanied by a sound of concussion resounding through the sky, straight into the sky. The terrifying momentum set off spreads thousands of meters away. The boundless territory and the 10,000 kingdoms with countless buildings, in the blink of an eye, directly became ruins. Looking around, there is no complete ground, let alone an intact building. All shattered and torn apart. Collapse. And the ground where Charlotte Linlin is located, is even more setting off a cloud of smoke and dust. As the smoke and dust slowly dissipated, it could be seen that a bottomless pit had appeared in the center. Air's blow directly penetrated the ground plane, and Charlotte Linlin also sank into the sea. Chapter 274. This is the power of immortals, Mother. This guy's strength is too exaggerated, he just used one move to directly defeat his mother. Anyway, my mother is also a big pirate with a world-famous new world and a bounty of 5 billion Baileys. In front of this monster, she is so vulnerable. Oops, Mother is demon fruit power. If Shenhai is the case, Mother will die. What, are we going to salvage Mom now, but Air will kill us? Watching Charlotte Linlin sinking into the sea, watching the pirates who haven't been kicked out from afar, peeping at each other. Even before the battle started, they knew Air's strength was outrageous. But they didn't think of anything. Air's strength has reached such a level. Entering the semi-complete sage of Six Paths state, only one move was used. Directly sunk Charlotte Linlin. Taking a hit from Air, with Charlotte Linlin's defense probably won't be an outright death. At this time, if she went to salvage, she still had a chance to survive. But at this time, Air was standing in the air, and no one dared to salvage Charlotte Linlin from the bottom of the sea. Mom. 783. Seeing Charlotte Linlin sinking into the sea, Katakori's face sank, and he first glanced at Air, who was standing high in the sky. Then he made up his mind and rushed towards the big hole in the center, trying to salvage Charlotte Linlin. Katakori. Then came Cracker's nervous shouting from behind. The words fell, and Air appeared directly in front of Katakori. Air. Seeing Air appearing in front of him, a mature and steady Katakori broke out in a cold sweat. He couldn't help but take a few steps backwards, Air who didn't dare to lean too close. The terrifying aura conveyed from Air made him face the hell like Hades. Unstoppable trembling. This is a force that originates from the soul like coercion. No matter how hard Katakori is, they couldn't stop the trembling body from fear. The eternal pointer of the Valley of God, give it to me, Air said calmly. Air, don't kill brother Katakuri. I'll go get you the eternal pointer of the Valley of the Gods now. 95. Not far away, Charlotte Brie hurriedly shouted. Her devil fruit is a mirror fruit, which can enter the mirror space. Advertisement in the entire realm of nations, wherever mirrors appear, there is free access. She quickly cast devil fruit ability and shuttled through the mirror. I found the room where the eternal pointer of the Valley of the Gods was stored, and took it out. After getting the thing, she didn't dare to approach Air at this time. He just threw the eternal pointer of the Valley of God to Air from afar. You have already got the eternal pointer of the Valley of God. Let us go, Air. If your anger doesn't dissipate because of your mother's offense, then kill me, I hope. You can spare the others present. People. Katakuri looked directly into Air's eyes, returning to death. Air put the eternal pointer of the Valley of God into his arms and smiled slightly. Your courage is good, Katakuri. Nien Katakuri can definitely be called one of the most courageous men in this pirate world. Air also appreciates this kind of courage. So can I trade my life for someone else's life? Katakuri asked. What do you think? Hearing these words, Katakuri felt a chill in his heart, and made up his mind after a moment of silence. If you haven't played enough, then let me be your opponent. 35. Katakuri, with a trident in his hand, stared at Air solemnly. Despite staring at Air, fear filled his heart. However, in order to keep others alive, he could only forcibly suppress his fear. You are not my opponent, Katakuri. Although Air is not a full-body sage of 6 paths now. However, his current strength, but even Charlotte Linlin can easily beat. Katakuri, in front of him is, added, completely unsightly. Not even ants, I know, but I want to protect others in this way, Katakuri said firmly. Yes. When the words fell, Air punched out, and his body flew upside down like a meteor. The body moved hundreds of meters away, and finally hit the ruins heavily. Katakuri. Seeing this scene, the hundreds of pirates present were shocked, but no one dared to say anything. Because their hearts have long been occupied by fear. Come on, Nagli. After knocking Katakuri out, Air turned his attention to Nagli, who was watching the battle from a distance. He originally planned to destroy Charlotte Linlin's territory, that is, all nations. Advertisement, however, think about it carefully. Back then in the Valley of the Gods, after all, Charlotte Linlin and others shot. Help him stop Silver Axe, John, Ochiku's attack and save his life. Air still remembers this kindness for the time being. Moreover, Katakuri even sacrificed his life, hoping that he would spare the rest. Now, the opponent suffered a punch from him, and his life and death are uncertain. And Charlotte Linlin, also sinking into the sea, the same statement is unknown. Whether the two will survive, Air doesn't know. However, he did not intend to kill the two of them. If they can live, Air is equivalent to repaying the kindness that was saved by Charlotte Linlin in the Valley of the Gods. If you're dead, then there's nothing to say. After all, just a little kindness. At the same time, he does not intend to completely destroy all nations. Yes, Mr. Air. Nagli nodded, then followed Air away from Charlotte Linlin's turf. Watching Air and others leave, the many surviving pirates were all weak in an instant and slumped on the ground. Going? It's great that we're still alive. This monster is too strong. I thought just now that I would die here too. But before they were happy for a long time, they suddenly noticed that several meteorites had landed high in the sky. Meteorite. Damn it, what's the situation? How could there be a meteorite? The volume of this meteorite is too big. Seeing the meteorite appearing high in the sky, those pirates who had just relaxed were stunned. Meteorite, the power of Tengai Shinsei unleashed by Air. Because in retrospect, Charlotte Linlin's kindness, and Katakuri's courage to save lives. Air really did not continue to plan to completely destroy the nations. But you must know that the kingdoms ruled by Charlotte Linlin have a total of 34 islands. Where they are at the moment is the Cake Island at the core. Air only intends to destroy other islands except Cake Island. As long as the Cake Island is not destroyed, this is not a complete destruction of the nations, is it? Chapter 275 Outsiders, Rinne Tensai Technique, a few days later. New World, a certain sea area. Air drove the boat and came to this sea area. The plan was for Nagli to take him in the boat, but after thinking about it carefully, come on by yourself. Air holds the eternal pointer of the Valley of the Gods in his hand, driving on this great sea. Finally, the boat was parked in a certain part of the sea. It's here. Air glanced at the eternal pointer in his hand and muttered to himself. After the instructions of the eternal pointer of the Valley of God is in the sea area where Air is currently located. Glancing at the sea below him, without hesitation, Air jumped down and fell into the sea. Since Air didn't take any devil fruit, therefore, he is not a landlubber. Also, because of living at sea for so long, his swimming skills are also very superb. Air is in the sea, snorkeling constantly. On the way, I met many huge sea kings in the deep sea. However, none of the sea kings dared to approach Air. As if encountering a disaster, he hides far away. And Air is also unscrupulously snorkeling in this lair of the sea kings. Finally reached the bottom of the seabed, after looking for a while. In his line of sight, there was an incomparably vast but broken island. I found it, Valley of the Gods. Looking at the island that once belonged to, Air recognized at a glance that the Valley of the Gods was in front of him. Air quickly swam in the direction of the Valley of the Gods. Soon after, he found the soil where he once buried himself in the rocks. Air clawed away the soil, and what he saw in front of him was Rox's corpse. The corpse is buried in the soil, and the rate of decay itself is very slow. Plus, the temperature on the bottom of the sea is very low, so rocks the body. It didn't rot in the slightest, it was intact. I was the one who buried you before, and now I'm also the one who dug you up again. Time flies by. It's so fast, Rox. Advertisement. Air looked at the body of Rox in front of him and couldn't help but sigh. Recalling the previous battle of the Valley of the Gods, the Rox were killed. Marine wants to bring back Rox's body, along with the blade. It was finally stopped by Air, who buried Rox himself at that time. Now, nearly 10 years have passed. Again, he came to Rox's body and dug it up. Without hesitation, Air picked up Rox's body and headed for the sea. Then came to the boat. Meanwhile, not far, a marine warship appeared in this sea area. A marine holding a telescope stood on the bow and noticed the boat on the sea. A small boat? Wait, that is, Air, Marine yelled in horror. Air? Hearing his voice, everyone on the marine battleship was stunned. Then he quickly picked up the telescope and looked at the position on the sea in the distance. Really, Air? How could he be here? 35. Could it be that you were paying the attention of the Valley of the Gods? Didn't the Valley of the Gods sink into the sea long ago? There should be nothing on it. I don't know why this group of New World pirates would be interested in the Valley of the Gods in the sinking sea. Yeah, a few years ago, Charlotte Linlin sent people over again and again, but now I didn't expect that the monster Air would also be interested in Shanghai's Valley of the Gods. However, what makes me more puzzled is that I don't know why the world government wants us to keep patrolling around this sea area, and also asks us to report all the people who appear. This is obviously as pointless. 35. Numerous Marines, looking at Air on the boat, talked a lot. Since the end of the Battle of the Valley of the Gods. A few years later, the world government directly ordered Marine to be located on an island near the Valley of the Gods. Build a Marine base. Let the Marines on Marine base patrol around this sea all the time. People who appear in this sea area will be reported directly. But, as for why they patrolled, they didn't know. However, they did hear that there was an insecure news. That is, in Shanghai's Valley of the Gods, there is a special thing. As for what it is, they don't know. Advertisement. 0. For flowers katakana middle dot katakana middle dot. However, there is a rumor that Uranus is buried in the Valley of the Gods in the sunken sea. It's just that they don't believe this rumor at all. After all, if there really is Uranus in the Valley of the Gods, then in the Battle of the Valley of the Gods, they had already used this weapon to deal with the Rox regiment. Wait a minute, there's another person on Air's boat. That person is Rox. 35. With the help of a telescope, a Marine could vaguely see the body of Rox lying on Air's boat. Rox? Hearing this news, many Marines suddenly broke out in a cold sweat. Hasn't Rox been dead for a long time? Why now Air dug up Rox's body? What the hell does this monster want to do? Numerous Marines. Holding the binoculars, he looked at Air on the boat and Rox's corpse, his expression extremely terrified. Air's actions are always beyond their comprehension. At this time, Air dug out Rox's body from the Valley of the Gods in the sunken sea. Although it is not clear what exactly Air wants to do. But at this time, they have a very bad feeling. On the other side, the boat. At this time, Air did not notice Marine in the distance. Because of the distance, Marine could notice him, seeing him only with the aid of a telescope. Air didn't have a telescope in his hand, so naturally he couldn't see Marine at the extreme distance. If the observation hockey is used, Air can find the Marines. It's just that Air won't be idle and open observation hockey all the time. Staring at the dead body of Rox in front of him. Without hesitation, Air clasped his hands together 11 times. Outlaw, Rinne Tensai technique, falling with his voice. I saw that behind Air, there was a huge Hades with a king character on his forehead, which looked like a statue. The so-called outsider, Rinne Tensai technique. It is to summon the king of hell, release the soul of the dead, and return the soul to the dead. At the same time restore all the injuries of the deceased's body, let the deceased come back to life, beg. Chapter 276. The Overlord of the Old Times, Rox Resurrection, Seeking Full Order. Kakaka. The statue like Hades slowly opened his mouth, and then spit out a soul from his mouth. And that soul quickly entered Rox's body. I saw that the severed head of Rox was in line with the neck. It looked as if he had not suffered the slightest injury, and he had recovered as before. Outsider Rinne Tensai technique is an unusual pervert ninjutsu. It is also one of the most amazing taboo techniques. In the Hokage ninja world, when using this ninjutsu to resurrect a person, it basically represents his own death. If it is not explained by the system, using this warlock will not cause any loss of life. Otherwise, Air would not dare to use this kind of ninjutsu. At this time, Air was sitting on the rail, quietly watching the rocks lying on the deck. The 7, 8, 3 he felt came out, and the vitality in Rox's body was constantly recovering. At this moment, the sound of the system suddenly came. Ding! Congratulations on the resurrection of the rocks by the host. Those resurrected by the host can control their life and death at will. The outsider Rinne Tensai technique, the resurrected person, has a sense of autonomy. It is not like impure world reincarnation, which can be manipulated by the caster. Although Air has successfully resurrected Rox now, he cannot manipulate his consciousness. It's just, he can easily control the life and death of Rox. After a while, Rox, who was lying on the deck, suddenly opened his eyes. I am. Rox sat up suspiciously, clenching his fists. He clearly remembered that he was besieged by Roger's regiment at the Battle of the Valley of the Gods and died at the hands of Roger. He could still recall the moment when his head flew up and saw his body. But now, he has regained consciousness again. He looked at his arm carefully, it was intact, and he could feel the power of making a fist. At the same time, you can also feel your heart beating in your body. All of this seems unreal. Long time no see, Rox, 35. Air, who was sitting on the rail, smiled slightly. Hearing this familiar voice, Rox narrowed his pupils and looked towards the ship rail. Air. Advertisement. Looking at the familiar Air in front of him, Rox was stunned. Aren't you already dead? How can I still see Air? Hallucinations? The two looked at each other. Rox took a deep breath after being silent for a long time and asked. Did you also die in the Valley of the Gods, Air? He knew very well that he had died in the Valley of the Gods. But now Air can be seen. Or hallucinations. Either Air also died in the Valley of the Gods. Then for some unknown reason, he may have been resurrected with Air. However, for hallucinations and resurrection, these two possibilities. Rox are more inclined towards resurrection. After all, everything around is all too real. Whether it was the floating sea breeze, the slight warmth came. As well as the beating of his heart and the touch of his palm on the deck, it all made him feel extremely real. Although it's hard to believe, Rox believes that he may be resurrected. No, in the Battle of the Valley of the Gods, except for you, all the other main cadres are still alive, of course. Including me. Air shook his head slightly. In that battle that year, apart from Air and Whitebeard, the two main cadres fought for the rocks with all their strength. The other main cadres, such as Golden Lion and others, were all paddling. They didn't even have many wounds left until the end of the battle. Yes. Hearing this, Rox once again recalled the battle that year. When he was cornered by the Roger regiment again, he had turned to Golden Lion, Charlotte Linlin, John and other cadres for help. But, the response to him was the cold words that made his heart sink to the bottom of the valley. It's ridiculous that he Rox, traversing the old times all his life. In the end, he was betrayed by his own crew. The next second, Rox suddenly thought of something and asked. But then again, if you didn't die in the Valley of the Gods, why did you appear here? Rox assumes that what is happening now is not an illusion. But he was truly resurrected. The reason for the resurrection is unknown to him. Advertisement as for the location of the resurrection and why it was on the boat, he also did not understand. But at the same time, what he didn't understand the most was. Why was Air on the side when he was resurrected? I brought you back to life, Rox 0. Hearing this, Rox's pupils contracted violently, staring at Air in disbelief. He only knew that Air had extremely strong talent and strength. But unexpectedly, Air has the ability to revive people. Rox was shocked at first, then turned to relief and laughed directly. Ha ha ha. Air, I knew it was the right choice to let you join my pirate group back then. 9. In retrospect, Rox has become one of the top pirate groups in New World. When Air first joined the Rox group, his strength was only a full-time crew member. Now, I don't know how many years have passed. Air has become different, unusually different. He even has the ability to resurrect him. Rox, I am really fortunate to invite Air to join when Air has not yet joined any pirate group. Is there any discomfort after the resurrection, Rox? Air asked. Air Master's outsider, Rinne Tensai technique, has been systematically changed after all. Therefore, he is still not very sure about the warlock he cast. Is it the same effect as the Hokage Ninja World that group of people released? Although the resurrection is a bit unbelievable, but I feel that 4.3 now, I have no discomfort in my body, my strength has not been affected in the slightest, and it even seems to have become stronger. Rox stood up, clenched his fists, and said with a smile on the corner of his mouth. Yes. Air nodded. Although the system has changed some things of the outsider Rinne Tensei technique. It has been explained that resurrected people can only survive for a while. However, the resurrected person still retains all the combat power before his death. It's not because of the system's magic change to the outsider Rinne Tensei technique. And weaken the strength of the resurrected person, as well as things like memory. Air. Rox clenched his fists, set his eyes on Air and grinned. Huh? 55 Hearing Rox suddenly calling his name, Air glanced at Rox suspiciously. Advertisement Chapter 277 Rox. Do you want to fight? Please complete the order. Are you going to fight? Your strength is different now than before? In the old days, the Rox considered themselves unparalleled in power. In the whole world, the wheel fights alone, and no one is his opponent. However, now he wants to know what level his strength is in this period. Since Air has the ability to resurrect him, then he must have an extremely top combat power. Not surprisingly, Rox guessed that, with Air's talent, he must now be on top of the world. The current Rox is full of curiosity about Air's strength. No problem at all. Air smiled slightly, outsider Rinne Tensei technique, although able to successfully resurrect the dead. However, this ninjutsu is different from impure world reincarnation. The people resurrected by impure world reincarnation can be controlled by the caster. But the outsider Rinne Tensei technique is a complete resurrection of a dead person. Resurrected people have the consciousness and strength before their death, including the ability to act independently. Not under the control of the caster. The purpose of Air's resurrection of Rox, on the one hand, is to see the effect. I want to know how long the person resurrected by this ninjutsu can survive in this world. 03 on the other hand, he resurrected Rox, naturally thinking of letting Rox do things for him. But, don't forget, who are the Rox? He is the overlord of the old era, the absolute terror of the entire sea. At the Battle of the Valley of the Gods, he defeated Marshal Marine alone. Even alone, he fought the entire Roger regiment, killed many strong Roger regiments to more than 70% of the top figures. Such characters are even resurrected by Air, but he also knew very well that Rox would not take things lightly for him. If you want to order Rox, then you must show the absolute combat power that is completely above it. So, to fight the Rox, Air felt that it was still very necessary. Ha ha ha. If it's on this small boat, you and I must not be able to show our true strength. Let's go to the nearby island and have a good fight. Rox laughed when he heard this. Ken. Air nodded. Meanwhile, on the other side. Advertisement on the marine battleship in the distance. Numerous marine soldiers, looking at the two people on the boat, were completely stunned. Am I dazzled? Or am I hallucinating? Come on, just kidding. I actually saw Rox come to life. Hey, it's true or false, have you seen it too? Isn't there something wrong with my eyes? No, since we have all seen it, that means that what appears in front of our eyes is not a hallucination, let alone something wrong with our eyes, but a reality. Rox. Resurrected. Countless Marines looked at the scene on the boat, unable to calm down for a long time. Heart shocked to the extreme. At the Battle of the Valley of the Gods, they lost a marshal and 2 admiral. And the captain from the world government CPO organization. It is equivalent to saying that in that battle, they lost 4 top combat powers. Only succeeded in exchange for the death of Rox. But now, Rox has been resurrected by Air. This terrifying man who once had the ambition to dominate the world in the old days and was extremely powerful is alive. The presence of one Air alone is enough to pose an unimaginable threat to them, Marine, and the entire world. Today, the Rox are alive and well. 2 men with great combat power, great threat, and the power to conquer the world. Appearing in this era at the same time, what kind of storms will be set off in this sea next? They don't know, but they only know a little bit. That is, something is wrong. What should I do? No, we need to report this news to Marshal Kong quickly. This kind of news that shocks the world must be reported as soon as possible. 55. Quickly return to the voyage. We did not carry any phone bugs on board today. We will go back to Marine Base and report the news here. Air, this terrifying guy, not only has extremely strong combat power, but now even has the ability to resurrect the dead. We must report this news to Marshal Kong as soon as possible. Air is powerful enough to be the best in the world, so forget it. No one would have thought that he even had the ability to resurrect the dead. If Rox can be resurrected, does that mean that anyone who dies in this sea can be resurrected? If so, if Air revives all the other great pirates of the old era. So, Let their Marines' top combat power come together. Coupled with all the fighting power of the world government, in front of air, it is still a little hard to resist. Many Marine soldiers did not dare to think further down, and quickly set off to return to Marine base. Report the information here to the past. However, before they could leave the boat, a tyrannical Jedi in the distance, the sword Shi that ripped apart the sea at high speed, attacked rapidly. Advertisement, Shu. Their Marine battleship, as fragile as paper, was easily cut in half by the sword energy. Boom. After the Marine battleship was cut in half, the split deck began to tilt towards the position of the sea. Many people on the boat turned their heads slightly, and saw Air and Rox, who were approaching them in the boat. Rox. Air. Looking at the two terrifying beings in front of them, everyone on the boat was terrified to the extreme. In the case of Air and Rox teaming up, unless all the top fighting forces of naval headquarters come together. Otherwise, no one can be their opponent. Now, with such two terrifying beings appearing in front of their eyes, who can avoid fear? Since you Marines will appear here, it means that Marine base is near 783, take us there. Air looked at the many marine roads that were about to fall into the sea. Air remembered that the Valley of the Gods, as the sacred place of celestial dragons, was in this extremely hidden sea. And in order to completely hide the island of the Valley of the Gods, within a radius of tens of thousands of meters, there is only one island. Now, if Marine is here, it means Ming. Marine base must have been built on that isolated island. And Air is going to play the rocks. Look at the entire sea around you. Only the Marine base built on an isolated island can make the two of them have a good fight. As for the resurrection of Rox, it was seen by Marine's people. So what? He resurrected Rox, not to hide and tuck. Rather, be prepared to let it do the work for itself. It was only a matter of time before Marine found out. Therefore, he did not hide his ability to resurrect Rox. Hearing Air's order, many Marines were terrified. At this time, they have long been feared and occupied their souls. Completely unable to speak. You guys, didn't you hear what we said? 35. Rox crossed his arms in front of his chest and said coldly. I'll take you there, 99. A Marine said boldly. Although he didn't know what Air was going to do with the rocks to the nearby Marine base. But at this time, he wanted to seize the last possibility of survival and obeyed the orders of the two. Chapter 278. The strongest man in the two eras. New world, near the Valley of the Gods, a certain Marine base. At this time, a lot of people were already standing on the shore of Marine base. Hey, it's time to change shifts again. It's really inexplicably boring to stay here. Mole yawned. Although it is said that in the sea area near the Valley of God, basically no one will appear. But, as Marines, they naturally have to obey the orders of their superiors. Need to send people all the time to go out on patrol or something. Now, the last batch of Marines is about to finish patrolling, and the next batch of Marines is theirs. I have to say, staying here, the daily routine is either training or patrolling. It's so boring. Wait a minute, Marshal Kong has already said that we will be able to transfer out of this place next year. T. Dolphin on the side lit a cigarette and said slowly. But then again, in terms of time, it's already time for a shift change. Marine, who went out for inspection before, should have returned. Why hasn't he disappeared? Momoshagi glanced at the time on the watch on his wrist and wondered. Is it possible? Do they want to patrol for a while longer? Ghost Spider said with his arms around his chest. I think this possibility is too low. Huo Xiaoyun shook his head slightly. Well, just wait. Not far away, Kizaru put his hands in Kabuto and slowly approached. Standing on the coast of Marine, few were the simple figures of naval headquarters. Mole, Ghost Spider, Firecloud, all are naval headquarters' future famous top vice admiral. T. Dolphin and Momoshagi are the future candidates for naval headquarters admiral. And Kizaru will be the highest force of naval headquarters in the future, Marine admiral. The reason why Kizaru was transferred to this place. That's because, some time ago, after the Logue Town incident ended. After negotiation, naval headquarters still decided to build Marine base in New World. Today, Marine base is under construction somewhere in the New World. The top combat power of naval headquarters has nothing to do during this time. After all, they can't participate in this construction in person. Moreover, since the base has not been fully constructed yet, the world government also issued an order not to have any thoughts about the pirates of the New World during this time. It was boring to stay in that place, so Kizaru asked Ying to be transferred out of this place. Ready to fish, clean for a few days. Numerous Marines stood on the shore, waiting quietly, when the Marines who had patrolled earlier returned. Advertisement, however, after waiting for a long time, they did not see the Marine battleship appear. Instead, he noticed that a small boat was approaching in the distance. A boat. Mole raised his brows slightly, staring suspiciously into the distance. This sea area has been invisible for many years, so how could a small boat appear, approaching our marine base? Ghost Spider raised his brows slightly, feeling a little wrong. T-Dolphin glanced at the marine soldier beside him and ordered, "Bring the telescope." Yes. After Marine received the order, he ran back quickly, took out a telescope, and handed it to the T-Dolphin. The T-Dolphin picked up the telescope, adjusted the viewing distance, and looked in the direction of the boat. In the next second, he suddenly broke out in a cold sweat, and the telescope in his hand fell off from his hand. "What's wrong?" Seeing his expression, the surrounding Marines were all startled. "What happened? Who in the boat can scare you like this?" "What did you see?" Momoshagi asked. I may have read it wrong," Chadu said in a trembling tone. If only he saw air on the boat, then he just told the news directly. But, through the telescope, he saw more than just air. "I also saw the rocks who have been dead for more than 10 years. He was full of shock and surprise, thinking that he might be hallucinating. Otherwise, how is it possible to see dead rocks in a boat with air? "Forget it, let me see for myself." Momoshagi shook his head slightly when he saw his expression, and then picked up the telescope on the ground. In the next second, her face instantly paled, and she couldn't help but take a few steps back. Hey, what did you two see? Who is the man on the boat?" Seeing Momosagi's panicked expression, Marine who was next to him instantly realized that the situation was not good. Hastily asked, Air, the rocks are approaching our island." Advertisement Momoshagi swallowed and said in horror. "What did you say?" Hearing his words, the surrounding Marines were taken aback. "Are you kidding us? How could air be here? No, it's really weird that air is here, but it's even weirder. Shouldn't it be Rox? Didn't he die long ago in the Valley of the Gods in the Sunken Sea?" Although this group of people did not participate in the Battle of the Valley of the Gods that year. However, because of the ending of the Valley of the Gods, the impact on the world pattern. What a huge blow to their naval headquarters, so, it's different from the original. Today this sea, the people of the entire naval headquarters. Basically, everyone knows what the outcome of the Battle of the Valley of the Gods will be. Therefore, they are naturally very clear that in the old days, the sea was the best. As captains of air, Whitebeard, Golden Lion, Charlotte Linlin, Kaido, John, Ochaku, Silver Axe, Rox have fallen in the Valley of the Gods. Now, Momoshagi actually said, she saw Rox? Could it be that Rox is resurrected? While everyone was in shock, the boat in the distance was about to reach the coast. At this time, they no longer need to rely on telescopes. You can see air and Rox, standing on top of the boat. Hey. True or false? Ghost Spider startled. Zhao Qianhao said in horror. "No, it's not an illusion, it's really Rox. This monster has come back to life," T-Dolphin swallowed nervously. When they also noticed the two people on the boat, they were instantly terrified, and their legs and feet couldn't help shaking. Rox and Air class. One is the absolute overlord of the old times. The other is that in today's era, it is enough to implement the top combat power that the entire sea is above everyone. These two people appeared in their sight at the same time. No matter how they suppressed the fear in their hearts, their legs seemed to be shaking uncontrollably. When they noticed Air and Rox, the two people on the boat naturally noticed the group of Marines. However, Air and Rox did not pay attention to the Marine in front of them at all, but said to themselves, "This island is not bad, it can withstand the battle between the two of us." Rox smiled slightly. Chapter 279 The terrifying power that shocks everyone, required. Then in this place, let's start the battle between the two of us. Air jumped slightly and landed on the shore of Marine base. Many Marines standing on the shore, seeing Air approaching, retreated unconsciously. And Rox followed behind Air. The two seemed to be in a no-man's land, even though there were a lot of Marines around. But neither of them took these Marines seriously. At the same time, there is absolutely no interest in slaughtering this group of Marines. Now the two of them just want to have a good fight. Fortunately, these two monsters don't seem to have any interest in us. Momoshagi couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. How strong Air and Rox are, needless to say. When the two join forces, let alone kill them at will. It can even compete with the top combat power of the entire naval headquarters. Listening to the words of the two of them, it seems that they are going to start a confrontation in our place. The battle between the two of them will probably destroy our marine base. It's better than being killed, though. No matter what they want to do, at least, we may not be in danger for the time being. Or, when we see them with our own eyes, our lives are already in their hands. Road. When they saw Air and Rox, escape is already impossible. Because he wanted to escape under the noses of these two monsters. It's as hard as stepping on the right foot with the left foot to reach the sky. Report this news to Marshal Kong. 35 Kizaru approached the mole and reminded in a low voice. Rox, who had been dead for more than 10 years, is suddenly resurrected. Such shocking news must be reported to Naval Headquarters as soon as possible. Understood. Mole received the order, sneaked away from the spot, and rushed towards the direction of the base. Air and Rox soon came to a clearing. Here's your knife, Rox. Advertisement. Air threw the supreme sword at his waist and threw it to Rox. After Rox died that year, he has been using Rox's knife. Now, the battle was about to begin, and Air returned the knife directly to him. After all, in Air's eyes, with his strength, now even with an ordinary, added, sword, you can beat the Rox. Then let me know how strong you are now, Air. Rox took the blade, held the handle, and said with a smile on the corner of his mouth. Before the battle of the Valley of the Gods begins. The two of them had a fight. It was Air's first demonstration of the power of Conqueror's entanglement, although it shocked the Rox. But, at that time, Air's strength was not enough to see in front of Rox. Now, after more than 10 years of separation, the two meet again, and they will start a battle again. Rox, really curious about Air's current strength. Go on, Rox. 9. The words fall. Air held the Demon Slayer, wrapped in armor color and Conqueror's power, and charged directly towards Rox. In the face of Air's attack, Rox is naturally true, with two-color hockey wrapped around the blade. The footsteps slammed on the ground and ran fast. The figures of the two were drawn in extremely quickly. At the moment when they are about to approach, the two are dispatched at the same time. Boom! A loud roar resounded through the sky. The blades of the two did not collide, but a terrifying and boundless momentum erupted. The ripples generated by the collision swept the entire marine base. The weather at high altitude changed drastically, and the originally sunny sky was instantly enveloped by endless dark clouds. At the scene, there was a gust of wind howling, shaking all directions. Not far away, Kizaru and the others who were watching were even more shocked by this wave of air, and they took a few steps back. Advertisement, okay. So strong. Is this the strength of Rox and Air? Chadu looked at the two in surprise. Although the legend of the two has been heard countless times. Now, witness the battle between the two with your own eyes. He still couldn't contain the shock in his heart. This is the first time he has watched such a top battle. One is the top powerhouse in the old era, and the other is the top powerhouse in the current era. I didn't expect that one day I would be able to witness the confrontation between these two monsters. The ghost spider suppressed the fear in his heart, a little bit. Excited. Although I don't want to admit it, I feel that the strength of these two monsters is stronger than anyone in our naval headquarters. Mole stared at the two with a solemn expression. Although, Garp, Sengoku, Zephyr, and Crane were trained under the personal guidance of the five elders. The strength has long been different from what it used to be, and it is much stronger than the original. But, now, after seeing the aura of the collision between Rox and Air, Mole felt it. Rox today. Even Garp, Sengoku, Zephyr, and Suru are no match for him alone. Rox is still the old age, once ranked at the top, and no one can surpass it. Such terrifying existences have already reached their limits with the help of their unique talents. At the Battle of the Valley of the Gods, if it weren't for the first battle with Marine Marshal Brownie, it consumed a little stamina. Otherwise, the Rox at that time, even if they faced the entire Roger group, could kill them all. Ha ha ha. Not bad, Air. Whether it is armament hockey, conqueror's hockey, or swordsmanship, you are not inferior to me now. Rox laughed as he felt the power from Air's blade. It has to be said that Air is indeed the man he values most in Rox. During the period of his death, Air lived up to expectations and became the world's strongest pirate. Now in terms of strength, it is not weaker than him. After sleeping for so many years, your strength has not declined, Rox, Air said calmly. Air felt that today's Rox are a bit more powerful than those during the Battle of the Valley of the Gods. This made Air guess, the person who was resurrected by the outsider Rinne Tensai technique, who had been transformed by the system. Although it can only survive in this world for a while. But, the strength after resurrection is slightly stronger than before. Thanks to your credit, all the injuries in my body have recovered as before. Now I am naturally at my peak. Let us two have a good fight. Chapter 280 Rox. Let me see your true power. Rox's words were about to fall, and a terrifying aura erupted from his body. Holding the blade in his hands tightly, he launched a more swift, terrifying, murderous attack towards Air. In the face of his attack, Air is naturally true. Whatever the Rox, what an astonishing attack can be made. Air can resolve it, and in the process of fighting, they can constantly find the flaws of Rox and counterattack. The battle between the two quickly entered a white-hot stage. The buildings in the area of thousands of meters were completely destroyed by the battle between the two. I have to say, the strength of Rox is still scary enough. Moreover, because Air's master's outsider Rinne Tensai technique is special. Through this ninjutsu, the resurrected person is stronger than before. That is to say, the current Rox is even stronger than it was at its peak. But Rox is strong. But air is stronger than him. You know, now air is only using swordsmanship and hockey, body technique is fighting against Rox. No other abilities at all, let alone the power of 10 tails. But even so, air didn't have the slightest disadvantage in his confrontation with the Rox. The battle between the two was particularly fierce. In just a short time, many people in this marine base have been affected and killed by the battle between the two. However, even Marine died quite a few people, but Kizaru and the others, who were watching from a distance, didn't dare to say anything at all. After all, just rely on their strength, let alone persuading them to fight. Not even qualified to approach. Boom, boom, boom. Every time the two of them attacked with full force, it was devastating to the ground and the damage to the buildings. Every time there is a collision, the ground level under your feet will sink directly into a depth of more than 10 meters. After the two fought for a long time, Air, with his strong combat experience, found a flaw in Rox. Without hesitation, Air first blocked Rox's blow and then slashed towards Rox's chest. Shish. Accompanied by a black sword energy, the air was torn apart. Rox's body directly retreated back dozens of meters. At the position of his chest, there is a hideous knife mark, which is constantly infiltrating blood. Seeing this scene, Kizaru and the others were shocked. Advertisement, Rox was injured. T-Dolphin's pupils shrank slightly. The current strength of this monster Air is even more terrifying than the top overlord of the old era, Rox, 35 Momosagi said in surprise. Although Rox used to be the captain of Air, he is also the captain of several big pirates in the New World today. His strength, in the old days, needless to say, was extremely terrifying, suppressing countless pirates. Even after the Battle of the Valley of the Gods was over. There are countless pirates in the New World, precisely because of the fall of Rox and the disbandment of the Rox group. I chose to go to sea. This is enough to prove the deterrent power of Rox in the old days. But, that's it, the absolute existence that is enough to be engraved on the history. In today's confrontation with Air, he was the first to be injured. Air's strength is so powerful that now they understand it more deeply. Instead of lamenting the strength of the two of them here, are we sure we don't choose to escape? Huo Xiaoyun asked a few people around him nervously. Escape? Do you think we have already appeared in their sight? Can we still escape? As long as the two of them have murderous intentions on us, even if we want to escape, it is impossible to achieve. Kizaru shook his head slightly. He had been in the Holy Land Marijoy and had seen with his own eyes how terrifying Air's power was. That almost invincible figure is something that Kizaru can't forget now. Although, now Air is at war with the Rox, at this time, they can escape. But Kizaru didn't do that because he knew there was no escape. If Air and Rox didn't kill them, they would definitely be alive. But if you want to kill, today, any of the top combat powers of naval headquarters are here, and it is absolutely impossible to escape. Center of the battlefield. Rox glanced at the wound on his chest, not angry nor surprised. Instead, the corners of his mouth rose slightly. Your strength really didn't disappoint me, Air. I knew that since you dared to resurrect me, you naturally have a strength that surpasses me. Although it is said that Air was his crew member, he himself is not thin to Air. But this little kindness was not enough to make Air go to great lengths to resurrect him. The whole world knows that his Rox ambition is to dominate the world. Air dares to resurrect a dangerous man who dares to compete with him for the position of world dominance. Then it is certain that Air must have the means to control him. 0. Ask for flowers. Control means, or conscious. Or strength. Advertisement. After waking up, Rox used observation hockey to survey his body. I found that my body did not have any abnormality. At the same time, his own consciousness has not been interfered by any. This also shows that Air is not manipulating his consciousness. If not conscious manipulation, then there is only one explanation. Air has strength beyond him, therefore, I dared to resurrect him, thinking that I could control him. Now, after the confrontation with Air, also verified this. If it was someone else who was slashed by me, they should be lying down by now. Your physique is more special than I thought, Rox, Air said calmly. .00 Air's sword, but contains a lot of his swordsmanship attainments, as well as hockey power. But even so, it only left a scar on Rox's chest. It has not even penetrated the flesh and injured the bones. This also makes Air feel that Rox has a special physique. But at the same time, Air also guessed another reason. That is, through the outsider Rinne Tensai technique, the resurrected person. Not only will the strength be stronger than before, but the physical body will also become stronger because of this. Ha ha ha. Air, although your strength is above mine, but, with this level of strength alone, it is far from being able to control me. 35. If you only have the strength you have now, in the future, I will become the one who competes with you for world dominance. Rox grinned. How to say Rox is also the top overlord of the old era. Above the whole sea. Although air brought him back to life, making him grateful. Although air's strength is slightly above him. But at this level alone, he might not be able to submit to air. After all, he still has the dignity of being a hegemon. Even if you want to surrender to someone, then the other party must defeat him with absolute crushing strength. The strong will not surrender to the stronger, but will surrender to the absolutely invincible horror existence. The strength that air is showing now, it has not yet made Rox feel the despair and the fear of being dominated. Therefore, even if the current Rox lose to air, they will never surrender to him. Beg. Chapter 281 Complete Sage of Six Paths, then show you the true power, Rox. Air put the blade back into the scabbard, staring at the Rox in front of him calmly. Oh, did you really hide your strength? When Rox heard the words, he was stunned at first, then grinned. He knew that if air was not 100% sure, he could suppress him with hard power. How could he resurrect a dangerous man like him, 10 Tails? Air let out a light ZHA, and then directly woke up the sleeping 10 Tails in his body. The awakened 10 Tails directly poured all the strength of his body into Air's body. Battle with the Holy Land Marijoy. As well as defeating Charlotte Linlin, the semi-complete Sage of Six Paths is different. This time, Air did not use only a small amount of strength from 10 Tails. Instead, I intend to use the full power of 810 Tails. With the power of 10 Tails, it was poured into Air's body continuously. His aura instantly swelled to the extreme, and an unparalleled sense of oppression enveloped everyone's hearts. Behind Air, the truth-seeking ball appeared. The truth-seeking ball is a black sphere with the power of yin and yang and the 5 elements, which can nullify most attacks. In other words, several truth-seeking balls behind Air. Each one can defend against most physical attacks in this world. Truth-seeking ball not only has a strong defensive power, but also a particularly terrifying destructive power. It can easily destroy the mountains, tear the earth, and open the sky. Meanwhile, Air also donned the Sage of Six Paths outfit. The Six Paths tin rod also appeared in Air's hands. The Six Paths tin stick is the most powerful weapon in the Hokage ninja world. It is the weapon held by the original Sage of Six Paths, and it has the terrifying power of destroying the world. With the power of 10 Tails, Air's body was continuously poured into it. Around his body, there was also a red steam lingering like an evil spirit. Wearing Sage of Six Paths clothes, holding a Six Paths tin cane, with the truth-seeking ball hanging from the back. Advertisement: this is the real Sage of Six Paths. It was also the first time that Air had fully unleashed the power of Sage of Six Paths since he crossed into this world. Air stood silently on the spot, although he didn't make a move, the aura radiated from him. It can even distort the surrounding space. This is also enough to prove how amazing the momentum he has now and how amazing his strength is. This is what Air unleashed at the Battle of the Holy Land Marijoy. Seeing the scene in front of him, Kizaru couldn't help but take a few steps back, surprised. The Battle of the Holy Land Marijoy that year made him particularly impressed. Because, in that battle, Air faced 4-5 elders alone, and in the end he killed 3 of them. Hey, just kidding. Is the battle where Air and Edward Newgate invaded the Holy Land Marijoy and killed the 3-5 elders, is that true? Hearing this sentence, Momosagi on the side was horrified. Due to the Battle of the Holy Land Marijoy that year, the impact was too great. Therefore, the world government has not released any news, trying to hide the outcome of the battle that year. However, the world has no impervious walls. The tragic results of that battle eventually spread in the naval headquarters. Just when everyone was shocked by it, Air fought 4-5 elders alone and killed 3 of them. Kong and others stood up and said that all this was a rumor. Air and Whitebeard did invade the Holy Land Marijoy, but never fought against the 5 elders, let alone beheaded them. Just killed too many celestial dragons, so the bounty went up that high. Marshal Kong, Marine, personally came out to refute the rumor. Therefore, many people in naval headquarters believed that the extremely shocking Battle of Marijoy was a rumor. Or, they thought that Air's combat power was too exaggerated, so they believed that this was a rumor. But later, though, there were indeed quite a few Marines in naval headquarters who went to investigate out of curiosity. And because Kong et al. Know the true ending of the Battle of the Holy Land Marijoy. However, only a few Marines know about the Battle of the Holy Land of Marijoy. Advertisement: most Marine still don't know. Today, Kizaru, who personally followed Kong to the Holy Land Marijoy, witnessed the man who fought in that legendary Battle 0. Speaking for himself, Air now unleashes the power he unleashed at the Battle of the Holy Land Marijoy. This does not indirectly prove that the rumors they had heard before were actually true. Alone, fighting 4-5 elders, and finally beheading 3 and successfully escaped, did he rely on such abilities in that battle? T-Dolphin sweated on his back. No, although it's somewhat similar to the ability released in the Holy Land Marijoy battle, but a closer look, it seems to be somewhat different. Kizaru shook his head slightly. Hearing his words, the people on the side were all relieved. They thought that what Air was unleashing now was the power unleashed in the Battle of the Holy Land Marijoy. However, they have not waited for them to relax in one breath. Kizaru continued with a dignified expression. His current state seems to be stronger than it was back then. Kizaru had seen Air up close, so he knew exactly what Air's abilities looked like at the time. Air at the time. There is no truth-seeking ball behind him, and there is no Six Paths tin cane, nor does the Six Paths fairy suit. But now, the image of Air is very different from the time of the Holy Land Marijoy. Feel the momentum conveyed by Air. Kizaru knows that this incomparable sense of oppression has surpassed that of the past. What? What do you mean? Air's 4.3 strength is now more terrifying than it was back then. Are you kidding us? Perusalino Vice Admiral. He was the one who killed 3-5 elders back then. Now that he has become stronger, what level of strength does he have to reach? Hearing what Kizaru said next, Shagu, Momosagi, Ghost Spider, Huashaoyun, Mole and others were very surprised. In the battle that year, Air's strength was so exaggerated that they thought it was a rumor. Today, Air is stronger, and they are next. See for yourself the power Air unleashes beyond the time of the Battle of the Holy Land Marijoy. All this, like a dream, makes them feel unusually unreal. We Marine, we can't fight against such monsters at all. Kizaru's face was extremely solemn. He was silent for a long time, and took a deep breath. This chapter contains pictures. Click the illustration button in the lower right corner of the screen to view the pictures. Chapter 282 I've been defeated, it's you who will become the world's hegemon, please complete the order. Center of the battlefield. Rox also stared at Air in surprise. What an amazing power, Air. I really didn't expect that since the end of the Valley of Gods battle, you have grown to such a level. I believe you now. You have the strength to suppress even me. Although the battle has not yet begun, Rox now knows that he has absolutely no chance of winning. The momentum that Air is showing now has completely crushed him. So, do you want to continue, Rox? Air said lightly, standing in the air. Of course, let me personally experience your strength today, Air. Let me see how terrifying you are with absolute confidence that you think you can make me surrender to it. Although Rox knew he was no match, he still wanted to experience it for himself. The strongest man in the world today, Air. What kind of power does he possess? Defend yourself, Rox. I don't want you to die at my hands as soon as you come back to life. Air did not attack directly, but reminded. This is also Air. The first time O3 unleashes the power of the full Sage of Six Paths. As for how terrifying this power is now, even Air himself doesn't quite know. But the only thing he is clear about is that now he has almost the power to annihilate the world. Rox roared and wrapped a layer of top armament hockey all over his body for defense. The next second, he charged directly towards Air. Air is also true, holding the Six Paths tin stick and rushing towards the Rox at an almost light speed. The figures of the two approached in an instant. Cut. Rox clenched Zanjin with both hands. The veins on the arms suddenly appeared, from above the blade, wrapped around the terrifying top two-color hockey. Endless amazing power bloomed from his body and merged into the blade. Rox's swordsmanship moves are not so bells and whistles. Only one cut word. Rox swung a sharp knife, slashing at Air. This knife of his, as if it could tear apart the sky and sever the sea, with the power of endless annihilation, surging towards Air. When, advertisement Air's Six Paths tin rod collided with Rox's blade. It was followed by a crisp crashing sound. In the next second, the ground beneath my feet swayed violently, as if a large earthquake had occurred on the entire island. The ground plane was destroyed like a piece of paper, with the two at the center, and the two halves were directly torn apart. The momentum created by the attack of the two directly affected the atmosphere. The dark clouds in the sky gathered more intensely, and the weather became more gloomy. First there was heavy rain, then thunder and lightning flashed, and after that, there was hail the size of a fist. As we all know, the weather in New World is extremely changeable. It may be sunny one second, and thunder and lightning roaring the next second. But as it is now, sunny days, dark clouds, lightning flashes, heavy rain, hail, and a series of successive changes in the weather. Totally unusual. The attack of the two people not only easily divided the entire island into two. The changing atmosphere of Nahara Bendo was also affected, resulting in a more changeable weather. So strong. Rox's pupils contracted violently, and in the next second, his body flew backwards hundreds of meters away. Countless buildings were penetrated by his body, forming ruins. Come on, just kidding, just one blow, straight up the Rox? Is that the power unleashed beyond the Battle of the Holy Land Marijoy? 35 feet? Such a monster. If we are Marines, then there may be no more pirates in this sea. But unfortunately, this kind of unreasonable existence is a pirate, an enemy of our Marine, or an existence that is almost impossible for us to defeat. Seeing the scene in front of them, Kizaru and the others, who were watching the battle from a distance, were horrified. There's no doubt about the strength that Air is showing right now. Horrified by it, shocked by it, terrified by it, and deep sense of despair. The other big pirates of the New World, for them Marine, are just tricky. But how can a man like Air be described as difficult? It can be completely defined by invincibility. The rocks fell into the ruins, and lifted the gravel that was covering the top of their heads. Advertisement and Air, also in an instant, appeared in front of him. Do you want to continue, Rox? After entering the Sage of Six Paths state, Air still has a lot of abilities to unleash. And now he's just using the Six Paths tin stick to fight it. Rox patted the dust on his body, glanced at the injury on his body, glanced at Air and smiled. You know, Air, during the battle with you, I suddenly thought of someone. 35. Seeing that Air didn't speak, Rox continued. Do you remember, you and Edward's group, not long after returning from the Hive Island battle, the scholar from O'Hara that we met in the Celestial Dragon's fleet, who had heard the prophecy? He once said that someone from the Rox group will become the world leader in the future. I thought at the time, the person he was talking about was me, Rox. But after I was defeated by Roger at the Battle of the Valley of the Gods, I knew that person was probably not me, it was someone else. Now, the battle with you has made me even more convinced that what the old man said is true. Someone from the Rox group will indeed become a world overlord in the future, but it's not me, but you. The future ruler of the world is not me, Rox. 95. It's you, Air. In the old days, since the Rox regiment was created on Hive Island. Rox's dream is to dominate the world. In order to achieve this goal, he is arrogant and does not regard anyone as a companion. Blindly recruiting the strong is precisely to realize this dream. But in the Valley of the Gods, his dream has been shattered. Now he, although resurrected again, but after a battle with Air, he knew very well that he still couldn't realize that dream. Because the Air that stood in front of him was absolutely invincible and insurmountable. It can even make him feel the existence of fear. So, do you want to continue? Air's heart still didn't waver at what Rox said. After all, with the system, he will sooner or later go to the world and become the overlord of this sea. This is what he has been able to imagine since he crossed into this world. Chapter 283. Rox wants revenge. The guy who runs with a bucket. No need, Air. I have already felt the difference in strength between us. I am not your opponent, nor will I in the future. No matter how hard I work, I am afraid that it will be especially difficult to hurt you. I have been defeated, although it was only a blow against Air. But now, the Rox have no idea of continuing to play. Although he didn't want to admit it, he knew that there was a huge gap in strength between himself and Air. Looks like you know very well, too, that your time has passed, Rox. Although Rox is the strongest in the old era, but the era that belongs to him has long passed. This era belongs to him. Even as the top powerhouse Rox of the old era, it is not enough to see in front of him. One thing to say, the full power of Sage of Six Paths is really much more terrifying than he imagined. Because, in this confrontation with Rox, he didn't even use any abilities. Easily crushed Rox with a Six Paths tin cane. Ha ha ha. Although it's an unacceptable fact, I've let it go, because my dream was shattered in the Valley of the Gods. Rox laughed. What are your plans for the resurrected Rox? Air asked. You must have planned me to do things for you when you resurrected me. If I have other plans, I will be wiped out by you in the next second, Air. Rox smiled slightly. Rox, despite his high self-esteem, doesn't take anyone seriously. In the same way, never thought of living under people. Still, Air doesn't hate him. After all, in the Battle of the Valley of the Gods, when he was almost abandoned by everyone, Air kept his promise and fought for him with all his might in the Battle of the Valley of the Gods. Now, he was resurrected by Air. Now he, willing to do things for the almost invincible man Air. It seems that you are also very clear. Air smiled slightly. You be *************** D. You really plan to do this? Well, after I resurrect you, I can't let you make waves in the sea alone. 35. That's true, but then again, Air, if I'm not mistaken, the time I can survive in this world should be very short. Oh, can you notice it? Although I don't know what means you used to resurrect me, I can feel that the vitality in the body is draining faster than normal. Advertisement his own body, he is naturally very clear. Now he is indeed resurrected. He has touch, smell, hearing, and can feel the majestic beating of his heart. But at the same time, he can also feel the life breath in his body, which is passing by rapidly. He didn't know how long he could live in this sea. But the only thing he knows is that he will not live long. Still, the rocks weren't lost for it. After all, he has been dead for more than 10 years. Now, he should have been lying in the cold soil on the bottom of the sea. But air rescued him and let him see the sky for more than 10 years. It made him realize that he was a man with terrifying strength far beyond his imagination. This has made him very satisfied. Yes. In this last bit of time, I will rule out all danger air for you. My time is over, but I am willing to swear allegiance to you, the new king. 99. Rox, who used to be arrogant and shocking the world, died long ago in the Valley of the Gods. The Rox, who have come back to life again, have lacked the absolute arrogance of the ear. He believed in the prophecy uttered by the old man from O'Hara. Believe that air will become the overlord of this world in the future. Very good. 95. Hearing Rox's words, air nodded in satisfaction. The next second, Rox said suddenly, but, before that, I need to make those who betrayed me pay the price. Although revived, Rox has never forgotten the past. In that dangerous situation back then, anyone could help him deal with the Roger Pirates. Then the ending will definitely be different, but unfortunately, no one is willing to help him. This unrelenting hatred, until now, Rox still remembers. This resurrection, he must find revenge on those people. Since you are loyal to me, I will help you with this kind of thing. 39. At the Battle of the Valley of the Gods, in addition to air, Whitebeard almost fought for the Rox. Advertisement because no matter what, Whitebeard was in that battle. Or he did his best to get rid of Darrows, the captain of the world government CPO organization. This is enough to prove Whitebeard's determination. Except for Air Whitebeard, Golden Lion, Charlotte Linlin, Kaido, John, Ochaku, Silver Axe, all of them will be liquidated. Backquote ha ha ha. Thank you so much Air. 99. Rox laughed when he heard this. Now, Golden Lion and others must have grown to the peak period. If he was alone, it would definitely be a little tricky to seek revenge from them. With Air's assistance, all those who betrayed him will be punished. Then now, it's time to get out of here Rox. Now that Rox wants revenge, it's time to leave. As for who to seek revenge first, then we will wait until we return to the Drosta country and have a negotiation. The two did not stay here at Marine Base, they made more stops and left here by boat. As for the group of Marines on Marine Base, neither of them paid any attention to them. Going to kill the Marines is just a waste of time for them. Watching the fight between Air and Rox end and the departure of the two. There were many Marines, of money, still living in Marine Base, and he was relieved. Fortunately, our strength is completely vulnerable in front of those two monsters, so we can survive. T. Dolphin took a deep breath. Although the feeling of being underestimated made him unusually unhappy. However, at least he managed to survive. If they hadn't witnessed this battle with their own eyes, no one would have thought that the growth of Air, a monster, has surpassed our imagination. Rox, the overlord of the old era, was so vulnerable in front of him, Momosagi said in shock. They used to know that Air was strong, think that any of the top powerhouses in their naval headquarters are not his opponents. But after seeing the battle today, they even think, unless the top combat power of naval headquarters, Kong, Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr, Crane, are all dispatched. Otherwise, with Air's strength, it is impossible to take it down. Chapter 284. The Panic of the Naval Headquarters. The situation of this sea in the future will change to an unimaginable level. Mole wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and said solemnly. Air showed the extremely strong combat power, and the resurrection of the old-time overlord Rox. In the future, the pattern of the sea is bound to change. As for how chaotic this sea will be in the future, they simply cannot imagine. Or, they can't imagine it at all. Shortly after, Holy Land Marijoy in the highest meeting room. In Kong, after learning what happened at the Marine base in New World. Immediately, Marine executives from all over the world were quickly convened to attend this meeting. High-level officials from all over the world rushed to the Holy Land Marijoy at the first time. What happened, Kong? Why did you call us for a meeting so urgently? Sengoku asked solemnly. Today, their Marine base is under construction at New World. And this sea, in Sengoku's view, is still relatively calm. However, Kong was so urgent that he held this meeting seriously. This made Sengoku aware that 800 was a little bad. What I said next, although it will be unbelievable, but what I said is the truth. Kong glanced at the many high-level executives present and said with a very serious expression. Hearing Kong's face as so serious, the entire conference room's high level. All held their breaths and waited quietly. Kong said something that would make them all unbelievable. According to the information obtained from the investigation, Air left the Drosta country a few days ago and went to the Wanguo where Charlotte Linlin is located. When our people arrived in the Wanguo soon to collect intelligence, they found that the place had already was destroyed. Because of the current air, the threat to the Marine, or to the whole world, is too great. Therefore, Marine has been sending out eyeliners to keep an eye on Air's whereabouts. Therefore, I also learned that all nations were destroyed by it. Isn't it a good thing for us that all nations are destroyed, Kong? Sengoku mused, rubbing his chin with his hands. Advertisement, although he didn't know why Air was going to Charlotte Linlin's turf. Not to mention, the two clashed because of what caused Air to destroy the nations. But, the nations are destroyed, then Charlotte Linlin must be in a state of serious injury and death. The power of a big pirate in the New World is almost destroyed, which is completely good news for them Marine. Yeah, Kong, Charlotte Linlin's territory has been destroyed, which means that our Marine has lost a big pirate as an enemy, which is beneficial to our Marine. Garp also agreed with Sengoku. Kong, did you call us here today just for this? If it's just this kind of thing, it's not worth holding the Supreme Council so urgently. No, I haven't finished speaking yet. According to our follow-up investigation and the comprehensive conjecture obtained, Air should have gone to Charlotte Linlin's territory to obtain the Eternal Pointer of the Valley of God. And after he got the Eternal Pointer of the Valley of God, as expected, he went to the Valley of the Gods in Shanghai alone. 35. Kong continued. Going to the Valley of the Gods? Isn't that place already sinking into the sea? Why did he go to that place? Crane raised his cheeks with both hands, full of doubts. Could it be because of that legendary ancient weapon, Uranus? But, we have searched the entire Valley of the Gods for a long time, and we haven't found that weapon, Zephyr said in confusion. Long before the Battle of the Valley of the Gods began, the world government searched for it in the Valley of the Gods. But did not find any clues about Uranus added. Afterwards, they sent another person to turn the entire Valley of Gods upside down. Again, no clue at all. No, he went to the Valley of the Gods in Shanghai, not for Uranus, but for Rox. He brought the Rox back to life. Kong looked heavy, took a deep breath, and said seriously. He has already received the information reported by Marine from the Marine base in New World. Hearing this, everyone in the conference room was shocked. Kong, are you kidding us? Garp said with a cold sweat on his forehead. Rox died in the Valley of God War more than 10 years ago. How can a person who has been dead for more than 10 years be resurrected? Advertisement, what a joke. Even in this pirate world, there are not a few bug-like devil fruits. You can browse through all devil fruit illustrations. I have never seen a devil fruit with the ability to resurrect an existence that has been dead for more than 10 years. Yeah, Kong, have you received fake news? How can a dead person be resurrected? Although Air has a lot of abilities, I don't think he has the ability to resurrect the dead. Sengoku shook his head slightly, and he couldn't believe it. Air's combat power, as well as ability, is enough to pervert in their opinion. Even with the invincible title, Guan Yu Air, now, it turns out that Air also has the power to resurrect the dead. This made Sengoku unbelievable. After all, if you believe this sentence, that means he's acknowledging Rox's resurrection. So when Air joins forces with the Rox, will their naval headquarters be able to stop the attack of these two? Do you think I'm joking, Garp, Sengoku? Despite this information, he couldn't believe it at all. But he is very clear. Kizaru and the others will never tell a fake news that will make the entire Marine panic. Seeing Kong, with such a solemn expression, the people in the conference room suddenly felt chills down their backs and sweated profusely. You must know that in the Battle of the Valley of the Gods, they lost 4 top combat powers. Only successfully removed the existence of Rox. And now, the beings who were killed by their painstaking efforts have been resurrected again. They really can't imagine the sea now. With the existence of Air and Rox at the same time, what will the future be like? Seeing that everyone in the conference room was in a state of shock, Kong took a deep breath and said with a very solemn expression. What I say next will be even more amazing than the resurrection of Rox. What? What? More amazing than Rox resurrected? Chapter 285. The Air who has the power to overthrow the world government. Hey, how many amazing things have happened in this sea in the past few days? Hearing Kong's words, all the executives in the conference room could no longer remain calm. The resurrection of the Rox, the threat to their Marines, goes without saying. It can even be described as a natural disaster. And now, Kong actually said that what he is going to say next is even more amazing than the resurrection of Rox. They are really unimaginable and unacceptable. In the end, what kind of news Kong is going to say is even more shocking than the resurrection of Rox. The higher-ups in the entire conference room were all sweating coldly, staring straight at Kong. Squeezing the shock and fear in his heart, he waited for his next sentence. According to the news reported by Perusalino and the others, after Air resurrected Rox, he started a battle with him, and the end of the battle is Rox are completely defeated. Air unleashed power beyond the battle of the Holy Land Marijoy. Kong also did not hide the news and reported it truthfully. Finish. The overlords of the old days, the Rox and Air's confrontation is completely defeated? Come on, just kidding, that Rox, who dominated the sea in the old days, is not Air's opponent at all. Wait a minute Kong, what did you just say? Air unleashed powers that surpassed those unleashed during the Battle of the Holy Land Marijoy? The sentence in front of Kong is amazing, but now Garp's attention is only on Kong's last sentence. Garp saw the battle in the Holy Land Marijoy from the beginning to the end. So he knew very well how terrifying the combat power of the ability Air released was. One person fought 4-5 elders alone, beheading 3 of them as if they were in a no-man's land. That is the most terrifying ability he has ever seen so far. Kong, didn't the world government already say that the abilities that Air unleashed in that battle would not be able to be unleashed again for at least 20 years, and now? Isn't there more than 10 years left to unleash? Now you tell me, he unleashed powers beyond that battle? Sengoku pressed the shock in his heart, as well as the fear, and asked. Back in Lobetown, the leader of the CPO organization had already told them. Advertisement according to the speculation of the 5 elders, the terrifying power unleashed by Air. There must be side effects, and it will not be released for at least 20 years. It's only been a few years now, it stands to reason that it is impossible for Air to unleash that power again. But now, Kong actually told them that Air unleashed power beyond that battle. If so, how strong is Air now? That's why I said, this news is even more amazing than the resurrection of Rox. Sengoku. Kong wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and took a deep breath. Because of that battle that year, Kizaru was in the spotlight himself. And in this confrontation between Air and Rox, Kizaru saw the result of that battle with his own eyes again, and noticed Air's combat power. So, the news, though, made them all unbelievable. But, is a real fact that none of them can accept. Damn, if Air can use that ability at will in the battle with Rox, does it mean that his ability has no side effects? I thought that the ability that Air released would have strong side effects. For example, 10 or 20 years can no longer be released. But for now, Air is only fighting the Rox, that ability was released at will. That is to prove that the conjecture they have been in is wrong. The current Air can be released all the time, beyond the capabilities of the Battle of the Holy Land Marijoy. If so, Air joins the Rox and poses a threat to them. It is completely incalculable and unimaginable. In the future, this sea is going to change, although I don't want to admit it, but Air, this monster, may have the power to get rid of our marine and even overthrow the world government. Zephyr frowned. His expression was extremely heavy. The resurrection of the Rox is enough to pose an unimaginable threat to them, marine, and the entire world. 0. For flowers. But that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is Air's ability. The stronger ability that can surpass the legendary battle of that year. Advertisement, although Zephyr doesn't want to admit it. But he knows that the current Air really has the ability to rule the world in the future. Hearing Zephyr's words, the entire conference room fell into deep contemplation. Although they wanted to refute this sentence, they couldn't think of any reason to refute it at all. In everyone's subconscious, there is the idea that Air is invincible. Just as the entire conference room was silent, not far away, there was a sound of footsteps. Tread. OOI saw 2-5 elders, walking slowly. Lord I Am said, don't worry about Air, just do what you should do. Lord I Am. Hearing the words of the 5 elders, everyone in the conference room fell into contemplation again. Now they really want to scold. In the battle that year, if I Am had joined them, Air might have died long ago. Is there still so much going on? Don't worry, if Air really has the idea of ruling the world, he will not attack you Marine, but will directly set foot on the Holy Land Marijoy. If he really comes, Lord Yim will attack. What you have to do now is not to think too much, continue to build a base in New World to deal with other big pirates, and you don't need to take the initiative to provoke Air. The old man with the knife glanced at the many high rises in the conference room and said calmly. Now Air's strength is probably not what it used to be. Can I be his opponent? Akainu, who has been silent, folded his hands on his chest and asked in a cold voice. Akainu has always been a tough guy, the future is, and he is now. Even with positions such as the 5 elders, the status is far above him. There was no respect in his tone. After all, in his opinion, it's totally that I Am having too much shit. Deliberately let Air go, otherwise there would be no more trouble in the follow-up. Are you questioning Lord Yimu's strength? The scarred old man sneered and begged. Nah. Chapter 286 5 Great Pirates attacked Air's site. You can't understand how powerful Lord Yimu has. In your opinion, Air is very strong, but in her opinion, Air can't threaten her status at all, the old man with the knife said slowly rode. Hearing the 2-5 elders so professed in Im's strength, many marine high-level faces met. Although they didn't know what kind of combat power I Am had. But anyway, the battle of that year. I am and Air didn't miss the punch at all. No matter what, they can only believe now that Im's strength is very strong. After all, if you don't believe in her strength, then they will admit that the world will be ruled by Air. Keep doing what you should do. After the 5 elders left this sentence, they left directly. 8-0. A few days later. New World, the country of Darasta. The country of Darasta at this time. 5 big pirates are being named as Red Earl, Brindywald, Ochaku, John, Silver Axe. Led more than 10,000 pirates to invade. Although Air recruited his men, few were simple characters. But under the invasion of these 5 big pirates and tens of thousands of strong men, they could not resist them at all. UB****************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** Ochaku stood in the middle of the city full of corpses, glanced around, and sneered. Provoking us will be the worst decision you have ever made, Lord Heir, it will definitely kill you. 5. A pirate, albeit seriously injured, but facing the big pirates like Ochaku, there was no sign of fear on his face. Yes, Ochaku snorted coldly and directly decapitated the pirate. At the same time, the other 4 big pirates also approached Ochaku from other directions. Advertisement, how did you get the news of Heir's whereabouts? Ochaku looked back at a few people and asked. According to what this group of people on the island said, Heir went out to sea to find the eternal pointer of the Valley of God. The Red Earl told the truth about the information he had collected. The Valley of the Gods' eternal pointer. Hearing this, Ochaku, John, and Silver Axe were all taken aback. They couldn't help but recall. A few days ago, Heir's men came down to ask them about the eternal pointer. I thought that this guy Heir was a smart guy, but it turns out, he's a stupid guy. There can't be ancient weapons in the Valley of God. If he goes, it's just a waste of time. John sneered. Road. No, I don't think it's that simple. His purpose should not be Uranus, because he doesn't seem like a man who can do meaningless things. Brindywald rubbed his chin with his hand and mused. If Heir felt that there really was Uranus in the Valley of the Gods. So why wait until more than 10 years later to search? Shouldn't we have gone to the Valley of the Gods' eternal pointer earlier and searched for Uranus's whereabouts? During this blank 10 years, I am afraid that Marine and the people from the world government have already searched the Valley of the Gods again. If it did, it would have been found long ago. In Brindywald's view, Heir must have thought of that too. Therefore, he believed that the purpose of Heir's search for the Valley of the Gods was not for Uranus. The Valley of the Gods has long been buried in the sea, and now the only thing there is the body of Rox. As you said, Heir is not looking for Uranus, is it possible? Is he looking for the body of Rox? Ha ha ha. Heir, he shouldn't go to Rox's body to catch up, 33 Silver Axe joked. Silver Axe, you and Heir used to be companions. If such a man underestimates him, he will suffer a great loss. The Red Earl folded his hands on his chest and said solemnly. Although the Red Earl doesn't know much about Heir. Just met Heir in Logue Town. However, when he saw that Heir could defeat the 3 main forces of the Roger Regiment alone, he knew that Heir is definitely not an easy role. A man who can use his strength to reach that level will definitely not do meaningless things. At the same time, must be a smart person. Understood him? So what? With the cooperation of the 5 of us, as long as this guy Heir dares to appear, he will be killed immediately, Silver Axe disdainfully said. Silver Axe really dare not underestimate Heir. Advertisement. After all, as a former companion, he knows very well how terrifying Heir's talent is. But now, on their side, there are 5 big pirates. Now, he really didn't take Heir seriously. That's right, even though that guy is not a simple monster, but with the cooperation of the 5 of us, he is mortal. Brindywald smiled slightly. His hatred for Heir was not light. The Battle of Hive Island that year was precisely because of the appearance of Heir and others. That's why his idea of plundering the auction failed, and all his treasures were lost. Almost all of his subordinates were killed, and he was the only one who escaped. After that battle in the Valley of the Gods, he was the last man to appear. He had planned to fire the cannon to sink the Valley of the Gods into the sea, but unexpectedly, Heir suddenly summoned a meteor. Directly kill all his subordinates again. Various factors can be said to make him full of hatred for Heir. At this moment, a pirate ran from a distance and hurriedly reported. King. Captain Ochaku, a small boat has been found by the sea. The man standing on the boat is Heir. The words fell before Ochaku and the others could speak. Those pirates lying on the ground, who were dying, immediately regained their senses when they heard Heir's return. Ha ha ha. Lord Heir is back, you guys are going to die. Only the 4.3 groups of you dared to invade Lord Heir's territory. Prepare to die. 5. Although we died under your hands, Lord Heir will avenge us. They've been following Heir, working for it, for a long time. So they knew very well how terrible Heir's strength was. New World's 5 pirates join forces, so what? Just wait, it won't be long before you and Air are reunited in hell, Ochaku said with a sinister smile on his face. Although Air is very strong, but with the cooperation of the 5 of us, what is he worth? Silver Axe said with a look of disdain. You guys are just frogs in the bottom of the well, you just understand Air's strength, you never understand how powerful we are, John snorted coldly. Chapter 287 Air. Come and die here. Don't talk nonsense, get ready to fight. Brindywald glanced at the 3 and reminded. Let's go, let's meet, the strongest man in the sea. The Red Earl said with an excited smile on his face. Today, he has eaten the vampire form of the phantom bat fruit. He was looking forward to it. If he absorbs the blood of such powerhouses as Air, will his lifespan and strength be enhanced as a result? The 5 came to the coast with countless elite pirates. At a glance, I saw a small boat sailing on the sea. However, when they set their sights on the boat, they found out that Air was not the only one standing on the boat, there was another person. After seeing the appearance of that person, Ochaku, Silver Axe, John, Brindywald, Red Earl, all 5 were stunned. Lo! Rox? Ochaku's pupils contracted violently, looking at the familiar face, his forehead was startled with cold sweat. Rox, as his former captain, had a terrifying combat power that dominated the world in his old days. That top-notch, terrifying strength, Ochaku has never forgotten until now. Now, seeing Rox in sight, his heart panics to the extreme. How is it possible? Rox has been dead for more than 10 years, how can he appear on Air's ship? Silver Axe also looked at the man on the boat with an expression of disbelief. They had been in the Valley of the Gods and had seen with their own eyes, Roger decapitated Rox. Now, how come the other party is alive again? Silver Axe has lived for so many years, never heard of it, never seen it. A dead man can be resurrected. Is it a hallucination? We have seen Rox die with our own eyes, and it is absolutely impossible for the dead to come back to life. John suppressed the fear in his heart and said his own opinion. He couldn't believe that everything in front of him was the truth. After all, if Rox does come back to life, even if the 5 of them join forces, it is very likely that they will not be the opponents of Air and Rox. One person is the strongest at the top of the old times. The other is in this new age. Climbing to the top of the pyramid with a powerful strength, no one can compete with it. Advertisement: if these 2 join forces, they might be able to destroy the world. Rox? The Red Earl looked heavy, and then used observation hockey to gain insight into the rocks on the boat. In the next second, his back became cold, and he was sweating profusely, and he couldn't help but take a step back. Damn, it's not a hallucination, the rocks are real. You must know that the most confident ability of the Red Earl is his observation hockey. His observation hockey not only has the ability to predict the future, read and write the opponent's inner thoughts, but also detect the opponent's life breath. Just now he used observation hockey to gain insight into Rox. It was found that the aura of life in the opponent's body was like a sea, and it was extremely majestic. If it was an illusion, then his observation hockey would definitely not be able to feel the vitality in Rox. But now, if he can feel it, it means that standing on the Air boat are the living Rox. Hey, just kidding, this guy Air, is it possible that the purpose of going to the Valley of the Gods is to resurrect Rox? Brindywald couldn't help swallowing. He was thinking. A smart person like Air should not know that there is no Uranus in the Valley of the Gods. However, Air still went to great lengths to find the eternal pointer in the Valley of the Gods, and then went to that place. Such practices, so that Brindywald is full of surprises. But now, he understood Air's intentions. It turned out that the other party was really not what he guessed, but to find Uranus. But to find Rox's corpse and bring it back to life. How? How is it possible? Hearing the Red Earl's affirmative words, John, Silver Axe, and Ochaku's mood suddenly fell into an ice cave. They are aware of the Red Earl's ability. Since the Red Earl was sure that everything in front of him was not an illusion, then it must be true. But this fact makes them unacceptable. Originally, they were still laughing, and Air went to find the Valley of the Gods. To reunite with the dead Rox early, but they didn't expect that in the blink of an eye, Rox was directly resurrected and appeared in their sight. While everyone was in shock, Air, who was standing on the bow, glanced at the 5 people with cold eyes and said indifferently. Advertisement: you guys are quite courageous, dare to invade my territory, 99. What's the matter? I'll just go out, and you just demolished my nest. Air. Watching Air's murderous gaze. At this time, John, Silver Axe, Ochaku, Brindywald, Red Earl, suddenly felt deeply bad. If the opponent is only Air, they must be without a trace of fear. After all, the 5 of them can't be afraid of Air alone. However, Air came back this time, directly bringing back the old-time overlord Rox. The 5 of them are from the old times, Naturally, he is very familiar with Rox. You must know that Rox alone has suppressed the pirates on the whole ship. Even more so, with his invincible bravery, he is a pirate who shakes the world. Rao is such a strong man as Earl read in the era of Rox. I didn't dare to show up at 800. Now, if such an existence is resurrected and fights side by side with Air. Even if the 5 of them join forces, they still feel that the battle situation is very hanging. You monster, do you still master the ability to revive the dead? The Red Earl said with a very solemn expression. Knowing earlier, Air has the ability to bring the dead back to life. Even if the world government gave him one, the phantom beast bat fruit he had longed for, in the form of a vampire. He would never agree to join forces with Ochaku, John, Silver Axe, Burndy-Wald. Because today is destined to be an unimaginable hard battle. Although he didn't want to admit it, he knew that once the battle started today, there is a good chance he will die here. Do I still need to explain my abilities to you? Bararik Redfield, but then again, as I recall, we seem to have only met once. Although I don't know why you joined forces with this group of trash fish, it doesn't matter. Since you are here, you should die here today. 35 Air said calmly. He remembered that the Red Earl was extremely arrogant and disdained to be in the company of anyone. With only one person, Whitebeard, Roger can be on an equal footing. Such a man would choose to join forces with John and others to deal with him. Although it made him feel a little surprised, however, as he said, never mind. Come, then die here. Chapter 288 Rox. Long time no see Ochaku, John, Silver Axe. UB ******* D. Hearing Air's words, the Red Earl's palms sweated. And Rox, who was standing on Air's side, put his hands behind his back, grinned, and greeted several people friendly. Long time no see, John, Silver Axe, Ochaku, lo, Captain Rox. John, Silver Axe, and Ochaku were all taken aback when they heard the Rox calling out their names. The early fear of Rox is now coming out of my heart. In the face of such a vicious existence, they even respectfully called out a name they hadn't called in more than 10 years. Captain. They were very clear about the battle in the Valley of the Gods that year. When Rox was on the verge of death and desperate, he turned to them for help. But at the time, they all refused. Now that the Rox are back, they don't have to think about it. I also know that what awaits me will be Rox's revenge. Captain. It's a long-lost title. Since you respectfully call me the captain, in that battle in the Valley of the Gods, did you take me as the captain? Rox asked with a sneer at the corner of his mouth. As the captain of a ship, he was finally abandoned by his own crew. The so-called captain's name, in his opinion, is a complete joke. Hearing this, John was afraid and explained quickly. Captain Rox, although we wanted to help you at that time, there were too many people on Marine's side, and we couldn't do anything about it. Yes, Captain Rox, we have been fighting hard for you at that time, but unfortunately, Marine was determined to kill you at that time, and we had no choice. As for the betrayal of those years, it was completely helpless. Silver Axe also explained out loud. Although more than 10 years have passed since the Battle of the Valley of the Gods, and the strengths of the two of them have all grown to their peak. But, seeing Rox, they were like lambs encountering lone wolf, and they couldn't help but fear. The repressive force that Rox had brought to them was simply too strong. Although it has been a long time, they still cannot forget it. Helpless. What a ridiculous explanation, Silver Axe. Rox said indifferently. Advertisement, John, Silver Axe, Ochaku, you 3 idiots, what are you afraid of? We have no way out now. Instead of begging for mercy, we should fight hard. Burndy-Wald saw that John, Silver Axe, and Ochaku, facing the Rox, had no arrogance in the past, and couldn't help roaring at the 3 of them. You know, the 5 of them joined forces, and now they have destroyed Air's territory. They made this move, no doubt, had completely provoked Air. At the same time, Rox is also full of killing intent towards the 3 of them. So he knew very well that no matter what happened to the 3 of John, he would beg for mercy. Air and Rox will never let the 5 of them go. Today, they are destined to go to war. Burndy-Wald? I do remember when you were in the Roger Pirates, and your Wald Pirates became the most famous pirates in the New World. I thought about winning over you, but after thinking about it carefully, you are too weak to be attracted by me at all. Rox put his hands on his back and glanced arrogantly at Burndy-Wald Road. Back then, in their Rox regiment, they were pressed by Marine step by step, weakening their combat power. Rox thought about expanding his power. Pull over the other big pirates of the New World. At that time, only the Roger Pirates and the Wald Pirates could catch his eye. In the end, though, she just sent Air and Charlotte Linlin to invite Roger. As for the Wald Pirates, if you think about it, it's too weak. Too lazy to win over. It's worth mentioning here. The Rox later sent Golden Lion, Charlotte Linlin, and Whitebeard to Wu Kaido. That's because, Rox believes, with Kaido's talent there's a chance he could be the next heir. This gave him the idea to win over. Don't underestimate me, Rox. 55. Hearing that he was being despised by the Rox, Brindewald roared at the Rox. After all, he was also a famous big pirate in the old times. Now it is with the Roger Pirates and the Whitebeard Pirates, which are dubbed by the world government as having the ability to destroy the world. At this height, at this level, advertisement being looked down upon by others naturally made him particularly angry. I underestimate you, do you deserve my high opinion? Rox said with disdain. Although it has been more than 10 years since the Battle of the Valley of the Gods. However, the Rock's strength is still at its peak. Now, he really still doesn't put anyone in the whole sea in his eyes. Of course. Except air. I'm not in the mood to talk nonsense with you. You don't think there are so many of us that we would be afraid of the two of you, Rox, air. Brindewald sneered. This time, not only did the 5 pirates join forces, but they also directly brought tens of thousands of pirate elites. This group of pirates are all pirates who are famous in the New World and whose bounty exceeds tens of millions of Baileys. None of them are easy characters. With so many troops around, Brindewald still thinks he can touch air and the rocks. When his words fell, a pirate behind him said cautiously. Bong. Captain Brindewald, our crew is now halfway through. What did you say? Brindewald was taken aback for a moment, then turned to look back. I saw that the 5 of them joined forces, and this time they brought tens of thousands of pirates. Now, only half are left on the scene. The other half of the pirates learned that the opponent was not just air. And when there was money and rocks, it just ran away. Rules. Damn. Brindewald's face instantly turned gloomy to the extreme. The odds of winning were not so great. Now I have even run half of the pirates directly. I think everyone present should have heard of my name, Rox. Now I will give you a way to live. Now run away. I will not continue to hunt. Continue to stay here. You all will die in here. 9. Rox put his eyes on the pirates behind Brindewald and others, and said calmly. Hearing Rox's words, many pirates immediately looked at each other. Are we going to run away? We won't have any chance of winning this battle, because our opponents are the top powerhouses from the 2 eras. Even if we fight together, we will definitely be killed. Chapter 289 Joining forces with Rox to deal with air? That's right, this monster air even has the ability to resurrect the dead. Who knows what level of strength he has now, so our only option now is to escape. Escape. Flee. Get out of here, or you will be killed. Many pirates just hesitated for a while, then put down the weapons in their hands and started to escape. Originally there were nearly 5,000 elite pirates left, but now only 1,000 have escaped. Airs and Rox names are too loud in today's world. If possible, there are not many of them who are willing to face such 2 top powerhouses at the same time. Ha ha ha. Your subordinates are really just like you back then. When they encounter danger, they choose to escape without hesitation, and I, Rox, hate those who abandon the captain the most. If you don't mind, let me clean up your men. The words fell, and Rox directly pulled out the supreme sword at his waist. Shish. The blade slid across the space, and there was a violent explosion of 800 sounds. In the next moment, an extremely astonishing sword energy, carrying thousands of powers, seemed to be able to pierce the sky and tear apart the mountains, and it rushed out. Whoosh whoosh, accompanied by a crisp bone-cracking sound. Countless pirates who escaped were instantly smashed by Rox's slash, cut off in the middle, and died on the spot. You bastards, do you really think you can escape from these 2 monsters? The only way left for you now is to fight, otherwise, after we are defeated, all of you will die here. Brindewald roared at the many pirates who wanted to escape behind him. I have to say, the pressure between air and Rox is too strong. Before the battle started, their soldiers' hearts were already in chaos. Hearing Brindewald's words, those pirates who were planning to escape all showed fear and fled back. Indeed, as Brindewald said, they simply cannot escape. Advertisement, go to war. Just as Brindewald ordered the fight, Silver Axe, who had been silent for a long time, spoke up. Captain Rox, we respect you very much. We joined forces this time only to target air, so if you don't participate in this battle for the time being, or if you help us after the battle, we are willing to continue to be loyal to you. With our allegiance, I believe that the Shiki group will follow you soon. At that time, you will realize your unfulfilled dream and dominate the world. Hearing Silver Axe's remarks, John said quickly, Captain Rox, air's strength has long since changed. His existence will block your way to dominate the world. Why don't you join hands with us to kill air, and the world will belong to you? Captain Rox, even though we betrayed you back then, we respect you very much, and we are willing to bow down to you again and serve you, Ochaku also said. They knew that Rox was most likely resurrected by air. But, in their opinion, with Rox's arrogant character, even if air brought it back to life, the Rox certainly wouldn't obey air. And they caught what the Rox wanted most, which was to dominate the world. Use this to persuade Rox and help them deal with air together. Compared to fighting against Rox and air at the same time, he died in the end. They still chose to put down their pride and surrender to the Rox, in order to save their lives. Do you think Rox still have a chance to dominate the world? Rox asked with a slight smile. Hearing what Rox said, Ochaku and the others immediately felt a drama. Said quickly and respectfully. Of course, we are all very aware of the strength of Captain Rox. Now we have improved a lot compared to the past. With our assistance, Captain Rox will definitely be the overlord of this sea in the future. Yes, Captain Rox, the only thing that can stop you from becoming the world's hegemon is air. As long as you kill air, there will be no one in this sea that can stop us, and the whole world will be yours. Captain Rox, if you want to become a world hegemon, you need to leave behind all the grudges in the past and forget everything in the past. Although air has resurrected you, but he is a stumbling block in your way. So don't worry about your kindness to air for resurrecting you, join hands with us and kill him. As long as the Rox agree to join forces with them. 6 people besieged air at the same time, so let air have great ability. Advertisement: he will definitely die here today. Huh? Any chance to join forces with the Rox? Brindywald, who is going to do it, heard the conversations of several people. Feeling that there is a possibility of joining forces with Rockstar, I immediately felt relieved. Although, John, Ochaku, and Silver Axe surrendered after the Rox. As a big pirate in the new world today, he is likely to succumb to Rox for it. But, at least, it's better than losing your life in this battle. Ha ha ha. Although I know that you are hypocritical, but you say that I can dominate the world, I am indeed very pleased. Rox used to be in high positions, although he didn't like to be flattered. However, what he likes most is when others say that he can dominate the world. That Captain Rox. Hearing this sentence, Ochaku, John, and Silver Axe immediately felt joy in their hearts. Since Rox would say this, it means that Rox agreed to join forces with them to deal with air. But, you know, when I died in the Valley of the Gods, my dream of dominating the world was shattered, and after I was resurrected, this dream still did not sprout in my heart. 5. Because I know that the person who can eventually dominate the world is not me. Instead, air. When Rox was just resurrected, the idea of re-establishing forces and dominating the world had not yet arisen in his heart. It was completely crushed by air with absolutely terrifying strength. This made him completely lose the idea of dominating the world in his heart. Because he knew very well that he could never do such a thing. At the same time, he has declared his allegiance to air. Therefore, he would not agree to join forces with John and other 5 big pirates to deal with air. Air had fulfilled his promise to fight to the end for him. Then he has to fulfill his promise to be loyal to air till the last minute. Chapter 290. The Battle of Everything, Seeking Full Order. Air. Hearing these words from Rox, John, Silver Axe, Ochaku, Red Earl, Brindywald were all stunned. Aloof and arrogant, the Rox that shake the world. He would actually say that he could not dominate the world. Even, and said, air is the overlord of the future world. This made them wonder for a while whether there was something wrong with their ears. Otherwise, how could it be possible to hear such remarks from Rox? Captain Rox, what are you talking about? How can air be above you? I have declared my allegiance to air, so, I refuse to join forces with you. Hearing Rox's words, many pirates were instantly terrified and couldn't believe it. What? What? Hey, just kidding, am I hallucinating? I actually heard that the overlord of the old times, the Rox, who is above countless others, is allegiance to air. Rox used to be air's captain, but now, after such a man was resurrected, he actually surrendered to air. No. Impossible, Rox, such a person who is enough to be carved into history, how can he say such a thing? All the pirates present were taken aback by Rox's words. Rox says he can't dominate the world, only air can do that. It made them unable to understand. Today, the Rox are heard to be allegiance to air. All of them, without exception, all thought that it was their ears that had a problem. Because of this, it came from the mouths of men like Rox. It's like walking to the sky, unbelievable. Red Earl, Brindywald, John, Ochaku, Silver Axe 5 people. After hearing Rox's words, he was dumbfounded, especially John and others, who were members of the Rox group. It is especially clear what kind of person Rox is. What is the pursuit of world domination? How confident are you in your own strength? In their cognition, Rox is the existence that is enough to dominate the sea and ignore anyone. Hear Rox say surrender to air. Advertisement: the shocked mood of the 3 people has long been unable to express in words. At this time, they couldn't help but set their eyes on air. Air's strength is very strong, and he is the strongest in the world today. This is the cognition of all their new world pirates. But, today their knowledge of air has been refreshed. Because they felt that air might be far more terrifying than they thought. Otherwise, why even men like Rox? They all aimed to give up domination of the world and surrender to air. At this time, Air, who was standing on the bow, glanced at several people indifferently and said calmly. The chat is over, guys. Don't you want revenge? Rox, John, Silver Axe, and Ochaku, I'll leave it to you, and I'll take care of the other two. 5. No problem. Rox smiled slightly, although the strength of John's 3 people has long been different from what it used to be. However, Rox didn't pay attention to these 3 people at all. The words fell, and the two jumped up and landed on the shore. Seeing Air and Rox approaching, Red Earl and many other pirates unconsciously took a step back. What to panic? There are so many of us, there is no need to be afraid. If the morale of our side is destroyed before the battle begins, then there is no chance of winning. If we want to win, we must bet everything. If Air and Rox can be successfully killed in today's war, then the names of all of us here will shock the whole world. Berndy Wald suppressed the fear in his heart and yelled at the pirates around him. Want to boost their morale, however, the effect of his words is very microscopic. Now, as long as you're a normal person, you know that Air's strength has definitely surpassed Rox by a lot. It has reached an unprecedented and unimaginable level. Otherwise, Rox cannot be loyal to Air. War. The Red Earl took a deep breath and roared. There is no way out, and the only option left for them is to fight. If they continue to cower, what awaits them will be death. Following the order of the Red Earl, countless pirates gathered their courage and rushed towards Air and Rox. Advertisement. Before the battle, let's deal with the miscellaneous soldiers. 35. 0. Ask for flowers. Air glanced at the group of pirates contemptuously. In the next second, a domineering aura quickly enveloped the group of pirates with him as the center. And Rox did the same, cast Conqueror's Hockey, and surrounded the group of pirates. Air and Rox Conqueror's Hockey, all on top of the world. It was extremely terrifying, approaching Tinling Guy, shocking the soul, and an irresistible aura instantly enveloped the countless pirates present. After feeling the hockey, countless pirates suddenly turned white, lost their will, and fainted. Boom. 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 There were bursts of noise, and countless pirates were seen stunned by their unique Conqueror's Hockey. 0.00 There were only nearly 1,000 pirates left at the scene, and they could barely stand there. John and others, no matter how they say it, have developed in this sea for more than 10 years. During this period, they naturally recruited countless pirates. Today, of the 1,000 pirates who can still stand up, almost no one has a bounty lower than 80 million Bailey. Our companion, was directly solved so much by the two of them with Hockey. Only Hockey has reached this level, so what level of strength do these two monsters have? No, we will lose without a doubt, and we cannot win, because standing in front of us are two people who occupy the top of the world, and there is no one who can compare with them. Damn it, why should I follow Captain Ochaku against such a man? See a lot of enemies that were directly killed by Air and Rox with Hockey. The remaining many pirates are still panicking to the point of ultimate at this time. Then, let the battle begin. Choke. Air pulled out the blade from his waist and slashed the demon with a sharp knife. Then he looked at the opponents in front of him, Berndy Wald and the Red Earl. The next second, the blade was inserted back into the scabbard. Sorry, I'm bullying you too much with this kind of knife. The words fell, and Air picked up the saber on the waist of a fainted pirate on the ground. This knife is just an ordinary knife, not even a famous knife. Chapter 291 Rox. Pay the price for your betrayal. With this knife, it shouldn't be bullying you. Damn, don't underestimate us, Air, Berndy Wald cursed. Although he knows himself, there is no chance of winning in the confrontation with Air. But the arrogant Berndy Wald still couldn't stand Air's humiliation. Is there? Air said contemptuously. Come on, Bararik Redfield. Berndy Wald shouted at the Red Earl beside him. The words fell, and he rushed towards Air without any hesitation. The Red Earl took a deep breath and rushed towards Air. The battle of the three has already begun. The other side. Pay the price for your betrayal, John, Ochaku, Silver Axe, you will die at my hands today. Rox held the 800, beheading god, and walked slowly towards the three of them, as if in a no-man's land. Damn, if you insist on fighting, don't blame us for being rude, Rox. You be ********D. We gave you the opportunity to dominate the world. Since you don't choose to cherish it, don't blame us for killing you. Go together. Although the three of them knew that they were not sure they would be able to defeat the Rox. But now that the battle is inevitable, they can only say some harsh words to enhance their self-confidence. After all, you can't say some cowardly words and lower your morale. Ha ha ha. Interesting, kill me? Just the three of you? 35? When Rox heard this, Yang Tian laughed wildly. The words fell, and he stopped talking nonsense. The footsteps exploded and quickly rushed towards the three of them. The faces of the three sank, each holding a weapon and rushing towards Rox. Rox! The three roared. The weapon in his hand was covered with armed color and conqueror's haki, and he slashed directly at Rox. Rox is also true. Holding a knife in one hand, covered with the top weapon color and conqueror's haki, he slashed down towards the three men. Advertisement, boom. Before the blades of the four collided together, there was an extremely violent ripple. With the four at the center, it quickly spreads out in all directions. The battlefield where they confronted, within a radius of 100 meters, no one dared to approach it. Although Ochaku and others formed an alliance this time, they brought a lot of powerhouses. There are even more pirates with a bounty of more than 1 billion Baileys. But, even pirates of this level are not qualified to intervene in this battle. Because, this is the battle between the top-level powerhouses. A pirate with a bounty of more than 1 billion Baileys, what qualifications are there to intervene? The aura of the four instantly climbed to the top. And the momentum displayed from Rox is like a ghost in hell. Even facing John, Ochaku, and Silver Axe at the same time, his aura didn't fall into the slightest disadvantage. Yes, after so many years, your strength has improved a lot, and you have mastered Conqueror's Twist, 99. With a relaxed smile on the corner of Rox's mouth, he glanced at the three people in front of him. After all, these three were once one of the main cadres of his Rox regiment. He was also one of the first cadres to join his Rox regiment. Possesses great combat power and extraordinary talent. The current strength of the three did not disappoint Rox. But, it didn't surprise him, because Conquerors entangles this power, though difficult to acquire. However, as long as you have a certain talent and time, you will master this power sooner or later. For the three masters to have this power, Rox just felt a little interesting. If it was us back then, even if the three of us joined forces, it would definitely not be your opponent, but now, we are much stronger than before Rox. Rejecting our invitation to deal with air, you are not only refusing to become the world's hegemon, but also, your life will be taken by us, John snorted coldly. Although Rox felt an unprecedented sense of oppression. However, his own momentum and morale must not be weak. Ha ha ha. Your strength has indeed grown a lot, but you are really talking about making me laugh, just because you three lousy don't care at all. The words fell, and Rox showed a more terrifying aura. I saw one after another killing intent visible to the naked eye, appearing around Rox's body. Advertisement like streaks of black steam, the rocks are entangled. Killing intent cannot be seen with the naked eye. But when a person's strength reaches a certain level, he can force the killing intent into the enemy's brain. In other words, let the other party have hallucinations and let them see the killing intent that is visible to the naked eye. Feel the power of Rox and become stronger. John, Ochaku, and Silver Axe broke out in cold sweat. The Axe of Thunder. The King's Sword. 39, Demon Slash. The three of them suppressed the fear in their hearts, roared loudly, and poured all their strength into the blade. Then, with all his strength, he slammed into the rocks. Come on, let you see the real power. Faced with the combined skills of the three, Rox was not wrong at all. With both hands, a terrifying aura emerged from him. As he swung out a sword chi that was enough to sever the gap and tear the earth came out. The sword energy is vertical and horizontal, like carrying thousands of power, like a black dragon pressing the sky, roaring out. It directly collided with the attacks of Ochaku, John, and Silver Axe. Boom! The earth is constantly trembling, collapsing, and tearing apart countless rifts. The terrifying momentum directly spread hundreds of meters in a radius, and countless 4.3 buildings collapsed. No matter how terrifying the joint skills of the three of John are. But under this knife from Rox, their offensive was instantly disintegrated. The bodies of the three of them were also directly knocked back dozens of meters by Rox's sword energy. Damn! How do you feel? His strength is more terrifying than ever. Ochaku's back was cold, and he cursed in a low voice. It's still a little tricky if the three of us join forces. John took a deep breath. Although their strength, all of them have grown to the peak period, and their combat power is also one of the best in the entire new world. But no matter what, Rox's strength is more terrifying than they imagined. Even though the three of them fought together, they still felt an indescribable sense of oppression. Chapter 292. You are the clown? You bastards. Do you want to keep watching? Come and help? Ochaku roared at the group of pirates behind him. In order to deal with air this time, they dispatched tens of thousands of pirate powerhouses. The appearance of air and rocks caused tens of thousands of pirates to escape, half of them. Afterwards, when the remaining half wanted to escape, they were directly beheaded by rocks and killed nearly 1,000 pirates. After that, Conqueror's Haki was released by air and rocks, and nearly 3,000 pirates were stunned. The remaining 1,000 pirates who stayed in place were all elites among the elite pirates. No pirate has a bounty lower than 80 million Baileys. But this group of pirates, so far, has not played any role at all. Hearing Ochaku's words, the group of pirates looked at each other with fear. The strength of Rox is far beyond their imagination. Light is the momentum, ripples created by Rox fighting Ochaku, John, and Silver Axe. They were so shocked that it was difficult for them to get close. Now, if he assists Ochaku and the others in the fight against the Rox, I am afraid that they will be killed in an instant. Many pirates looked at each other, but no one dared to approach. Everyone has endless horror on their faces. You need to select your subordinates carefully, Ochaku, John, Silver Axe. Look at the subordinates you recruited, all of them are timid and cowardly. Rox carried the blade on his shoulder, looked at the many pirates behind the three, and let out a ruthless ridicule. What he said was correct. Recruiting crew members must be carefully selected. If it weren't for the crew members he recruited back then, all of them were wolves with ambitions. Otherwise, he would not be betrayed in the Valley of the Gods. If it wasn't for his recognition of Air was recruited onto the ship. Otherwise, now he is afraid that he will still sleep forever in the Valley of the Gods in the deep sea. Never see again, the light of the past. Recruiting Air aboard was the best thing Rox ever did in his life, bar none. And recruiting the bastards like Ochaku on board is really G off the rocks. Thousands of pirates, despite having heard the Rox jeer. Although they are very self-esteem, they are extremely respectful existences. Advertisement but, they still dare not step forward. Not because of other things, but because of the strength and oppression of Rox, it's really terrible. The other side. Air with the Red Earl, Brindewald. Air holds a normal blade, wrapped in armament colors and conqueror's hockey. The two of them started a bloody confrontation with murderous intent time and time again. Have to say, the Red Earl deserves to be alone. A strong man who can be on an equal footing with the Whitebeard Pirates and the Roger Pirates. Red Earl armament hockey is not weak, observation hockey is especially top. It can even be said that his observation hockey is not inferior to Air. Of course, he also has conqueror's hockey. As aloof and arrogant like the Red Earl, he disdains anyone to be in the company of anyone, and only poses a huge threat to the world government by one person. It would be too strange if he didn't have conqueror's hockey for being so obedient to anyone. You know, conqueror's hockey cannot be practiced. He needs the aura of the awakened person and the spiritual power to be strengthened to become stronger. Like the Red Earl, a man of great spirit and ease, his conqueror's hockey had long thought he had reached the top. Red Earl conqueror's hockey, except that armament hockey has not reached full level. Observation hockey and conqueror's hockey are not inferior to Air. And Brindewald, the same is not a simple role. After all, he was with the Roger Pirates, the Whitebeard Pirates. He was feared by Marine and the world government, and even gave him the title of World Destroyer. His armament hockey is extremely strong, reaching the pinnacle level, that is, the highest level. Meanwhile, his conqueror's hockey, too, remains top-notch. However, observation hockey, he's still short of the heat, not at the top. Air was alone, holding an ordinary blade. In the face of the combination of the two, there is almost no disadvantage. Dang dang dang. Boom bang bang. The three people's offensive has not stopped in the slightest since it was launched. Advertisement: the battle has already entered the white-hot stage. Ha ha ha. I thought you were so strong, Air, is it just that? Brindewald laughed as he continued to attack. Air's strength is indeed not weak, after all, he is only holding an ordinary blade. You can join forces with him and the Red Earl to fight to such a degree. But, this kind of strength, it is not too amazing to Brindewald. Before Air could speak, Earl Red frowned and reminded. Don't underestimate him, Brindewald. Although now, neither Red Earl nor Brindewald have used their full strength. But the Red Earl also knew very well that Air was definitely not using his full strength. After all, he saw it with his own eyes in Logue Town the other day. Air alone, fighting Roger's three main 800 force, did not fall into the slightest disadvantage. In the end, the strength is greatly improved. With absolutely terrifying strength, crush the three main forces of the Roger regiment to win. Air's strength, Red Earl is definitely more clear than Brindewald. Deal with such a man. If they don't risk their lives, or if there is a slight slack, then what awaits them will be a disaster. Don't underestimate me too, Bararik Redfield. Hearing the Red Earl's reminder, Brindewald behaved very disdainfully. Momo 10 times faster. The words fell, Brindewald, directly covering Devil Fruit's ability on himself. At this time, both his movement speed and his attack speed were 10 times faster than before. I saw him holding a huge sickle, covered with armed colors and conqueror's hockey. In an instant, he swiped at Air dozens of times in a row. The speed is so fast that even in the air, there are afterimages. It seems that you need to be a little more serious. Looking at the offensive launched by Brindewald, Air's face also regained a bit of solemnity. I saw him holding knives in both hands, constantly colliding with Brindewald's sickle. Blocked the opponent's continuous offensive. At the same time, he was still defending against the attack of the Red Earl. Chapter 293 Prestige Susano Participation, please complete order. However, after using the Devil Fruit ability, Brindewald swings the scythe very fast. At the same time, the Red Earl did not retain his own strength too much. Waving the umbrella in his hand at full speed, he launched an offensive full of murderous intent. Let Air's swordsmanship not be weak. However, in the face of the attack of the two at the same time, at this time, they can only passively defend the offensive. Already at a slight disadvantage, look, Air seems to be suppressed. Have a chance, Captain Brindewald, together with Bararic Redfield, seems to be able to beat Air, 35. Although I don't know what kind of ability this monster used to revive Rox and make those men submit to it, but he may just be a sidekick. In terms of hard power, it may not be the match for Captain Brindewald and Bararic Redfield, 35. Seeing that the Red Earl and Brindewald joined forces, Air stepped back. The pirates who were watching suddenly felt hopeful. The combination of the two may be enough to defeat Air. When many pirates saw the scene in front of them, they were a little excited. A pirate said something and poured a basin of cold water. No, this monster, probably. Not yet with all his strength. Don't forget the news about Air the other day. Although it was the first time he had seen Air fight with his own eyes. It was even more obvious that Air was at a slight disadvantage under the cooperation of the two. However, he felt that Air's strength might be much more than that. After all, the news a few days ago made him vividly aware of his purpose. Even the three main forces of the Roger Regiment joined forces and were completely defeated by Air. Hearing his words, the excited flame that rose in the hearts of many pirates was directly extinguished by him. Yeah, although they did see the two join forces, briefly overpowering Air. But if you look closely, you will find that Air's face always has a relaxed expression on it. And, don't forget, Air's battle from start to finish is just an ordinary blade. They unconsciously recalled the news some time ago. Air teamed up with Golden Lion, Kaido to destroy naval headquarters. In Logue Town, Air defeated the three cadres of the Roger Regiment by himself. All kinds of news about Air in the past appeared in their minds. Advertisement in their hearts, the excitement just now disappeared. It was replaced by a deeper despair that was extinguished again after seeing hope. No, don't look too high on Air. Although he is very strong, don't forget that Captain Brindewald and Bararic Redfield are not simple roles. The battle is just now. Start. Who wins and who loses, not sure. A pirate glanced at the people around him and said encouragingly. Although he is also afraid of Air's strength in his heart, it is very likely that even the two of them will not be rivals. But now, he needs to give himself hope. After all, if it is admitted that Air is stronger than the two of them, then if Brindewald and the Red Earl are defeated, they will die here too. Say. That's right, 35, yeah, the battle has just begun, and Air may not win in the end. We have to believe in the strength of Captain Brindewald and Bararic Redfield. They will definitely be able to defeat Air, and we will definitely be able to get out of here alive today. Hearing his words, several pirates opened their mouths to give themselves hope. Center of the battlefield. Dang dang dang, crackling. Air kept waving the blade, intercepting and defending the offensive launched by the two again and again. I have to say that the strength of the two of them working together is not weak, and they can put a lot of pressure on Air. No other abilities are used in Air, if only relying on hockey and swordsmanship skills to fight. It really made him feel a little tricky. Ha ha ha. Did you see it? Bararic Redfield, this guy's strength is just that. With the cooperation of the two of us, this guy is not ours at all. Opponent. Brindewald laughed as he attacked. Air, do you want to continue to hide your strength? This is definitely not your full strength, the Red Earl said with a serious look. He doesn't think he's going to win like Brindewald does. After seeing the strength of Air in Logue Town with my own eyes, he knew that Air's strength had reached an unimaginable level. After all, Roger, Rayleigh, Jabba, all of them are the famous big pirates of New World. Especially Roger, his strength has reached an unfathomable level. Advertisement, but it is those three, extremely powerful powerhouses, in the case of joining forces, can be completely defeated by Air, so he knew very well that Air's full strength was by no means what it is now. Can be suppressed under the full attack of the two of them. Oh, do you have any other skills you haven't used? Then show it and let me see Air? Using other abilities would be bullying you too much. Air smiled slightly. What an arrogant thing to say. I would like to see if the power you unleashed can resist the joint efforts of the two of us. Since you want to get to know me, then I won't be polite to you. Air originally planned to have fun with the two of them, and didn't want to end the battle so quickly. However, Brundewald was so desperate for him to use his other abilities to beat him. Then this request, he naturally will not refuse. The words fell, and Air moved straight out, then put his hands together. With a low voice. Totally beast-eyed. 35 As Air's voice fell, he saw a dazzling golden light all over his body. The incomparably bright golden light flickered like the sun. In the next second, a huge-tailed beast with 1,000 auras appeared from Air's body. This is exactly 9 tails, after the full body 9 tails appeared. It was extremely terrifying, and the sense of oppression that was close to Tien Lingai was deeply shrouded in the hearts of countless pirates present. Waifu Susanoo. It's not over yet. Air then begins to unleash the power of the full Susanoo. The so-called pretty Susanoo is to use the full body Susanoo as a shell to cover the body of 9 tails. This can make it burst out, even more amazing combat power. You can see 9 tails exuding golden light, slowly covered with a layer of blue armor. The armor wraps the entire body of 9 tails, a huge size. A terrifying aura oozes from the whole body, and the 9 tails are covered in full Susanoo armor. Appeared in everyone's sight. Chapter 294. This is called power. Please complete the order. Hey, this. What kind of monster is this? What a powerful sense of oppression. Does this guy Air still have the ability to release such monsters? Damn it, if Rox is not resurrected, the 5 pirates will have a chance to defeat Air, but with Captain Brundewald and Bararik Redfield alone, they still can't win. 99. We are all going to die here today. See Air unleash the mighty Susanoo. Many pirates in the distance fell directly into the deepest despair. Originally, they saw Brundewald and the Red Earl join forces. Can suppress Air slightly. At that time, they could still deceive themselves, thinking that there is still a possibility of victory in this battle. But now, they know they can't continue to deceive themselves. Because of the sense of oppression conveyed by this monster in front of them, their souls are trembling. If Rox are not resurrected, then John, Silver Axe, Ochaku, Brundewald, Red Earl 5 team up. Then there is a good chance of defeating Air. However, there was an accident. The old-time overlord Rox has been resurrected and is now fighting against John and the others. Today, only Red Earl and Brundewald can deal with Air. No matter how strong these two are. But in front of the monsters that Air has released now, in terms of momentum, it's not enough to see. Looking at the majestic Susanoo in front of him, the Red Earl's expression became extremely heavy, and he took a deep breath. I knew that you didn't use all your strength, although it has not yet confronted Air, who is now unleashing the masquerade Susanoo. But at this time, the Red Earl had a timid heart in his heart. For nothing else, I just felt the aura coming from the majestic Susanoo in front of me. He knew he and Brundewald alone couldn't win. Is that your strongest ability? Air? Brundewald yelled at Air. Hearing Brundewald's voice, the Red Earl glanced at him unconsciously. Although Brundewald's words are full of pride and contempt. But the Red Earl found that the corners of Brundewald's mouth were trembling slightly. Sure enough. You know this fight. No chance, Brundewald. 35. Advertisement. The Red Earl couldn't help laughing at himself. Now he is clear. Why Brundewald has been saying such arrogant things since the battle with Air. It turned out, to suppress the fear in my heart. In fact, Brundewald himself is very clear. This battle, with just the two of them, is almost impossible to defeat Air. But he did not give up that little hope. I don't want the Red Count to see the fear in his heart. To deal with you, it is not enough for me to use the strongest ability. Air was on Susanoo's forehead and glanced at the two of them contemptuously. His strongest power is the complete sage of 6 paths. However, that kind of power was used against the words of the Red Earl and Brundewald. Isn't it completely unnecessary, like blasting mosquitoes with a cannon? With the prestige Susanoo alone, it is enough to deal with 2 people. This isn't your strongest ability. Hearing this sentence, roused Brundewald, who has been forcing himself to calm down and not to fear. Involuntarily, the whole body broke out in a cold sweat. Just the majestic Susanoo in front of him, he almost felt like he couldn't defeat it. And this is not Air's strongest ability. Get out of the way, Brundewald. 35. When he fell into shock, the Red Earl's roar came from the side. Brundewald, who turned around, directly noticed a huge machete that was extremely sharp and attacked him. Momo 30 times faster, Brundewald let out a light ZHA, and cast Devil Fruit's ability on himself, plus. After his speed increased by a full 30 times, added. It turned into an afterimage directly in the air, dodging the attack of the mighty Susanoo. Boom. The attack of the prestige Susanoo slashed on the ground, and the ground plane instantly tore apart a bottomless rift. The rift stretched to the end of the horizon, destroying countless buildings along the way. However, the pirates who looked at them from a distance were also directly smashed into pieces by the sword energy of this knife. Advertisement, good. So strong, just kidding, the power of a knife is so terrifying? It was just a knife that almost smashed through the entire country of Darasta. This is the man who is the strongest pirate in the world today, even a man who can make rocks surrender. This monster, master, has the power of a god. Seeing the power of this knife, the pirates in the distance were so frightened that they slumped on the ground. They never thought that they were 100 meters apart to watch this battle. It can even be affected by air's attack. If it wasn't for good luck, I didn't stand in the range of air's sword energy. Otherwise, they are now. I'm afraid that, like the pirates just now, I was directly shattered by the shock of the sword energy. The power of air has refreshed their upper limit. Thousands of pirates are now watching. No one had confidence in Brindewald and the Red Earl to defeat monsters like air. So close. Seeing the damage caused by Susano's knife, Brindewald swallowed involuntarily. If it wasn't for the timely reminder from the Red Earl, or if he was cut by that knife. Even if he did not die, he had to suffer heavy losses. UB******************* D. At such a critical moment, can you even be in a daze? The Red Earl couldn't help cursing. If it weren't for the fact that his attention had been on air, the slash would have been on Brindewald. The defeat of this battle is already doomed. Shut up, Bararik Redfield, I don't want to argue with you, Brindewald snorted. Although it was because of the Red Earl's reminder, he successfully saved his life. However, he would not be grateful to the Red Earl for this. At the same time, I don't want to argue with him. The chance of winning against air between the two is not very big. If they quarrel again, it will be equal to 0. Pay attention to what's in front of you, you idiot. If it weren't for the fact that your opponent is air, I wouldn't care about your life or death, 35 Red Earl said coldly. If it weren't for it, the two of them would be extremely difficult to deal with air. If Brindewald is killed, he will be killed too. Otherwise, how could he care about Brindewald's life? Chapter 295 The Situation of Crushing, Vulnerable, Seeking Full Order. Brindewald didn't say much, but put his palm on the Red Earl's shoulder. Then he whispered softly, Momo, share 10 times faster, 55. Brindewald's development of devil fruit has long reached the point of perfection. His Momo fruit can not only be used by himself, at the same time, it can also be used on other life forms. However, his ability to release Momo fruit to himself can increase his speed by 30 times. But if it is released on other people, it can only be 10 times at most. You guy, you have eaten the vampire form of the phantom bat fruit, right? As long as you can get close to air and absorb his blood, we have a chance to win this battle? Brindewald has read the Devil Fruit illustrated book, so he knows the fruit he eats. You demons type bat fruit vampire form can absorb the blood of the other party in order to restore their youth. At the same time, the person who was sucked by him would age rapidly in a very short period of time. Brindewald knew he had no chance of winning. After all, he had also seen the damage caused by the slash of Susano just now. Such a devastating offensive, the two of them could not stop it at all. The only chance of winning is for the Red Earl to absorb air's blood. You don't need reminders of this sort of thing, Brindewald, 39. The Red Earl glanced at him indifferently. Why didn't he want to get close to air, and then look for a chance to drain his blood and age him? However, to achieve this step, the difficulty factor is too high. Just now, air has not used his true abilities, just using swordsmanship, and when Hockey fought the two of them. He has been unable to find the right opportunity to draw air's blood. Today, air has unleashed the masquerade Susano. At this time, if you want to find an opportunity to get close to air, and then absorb its blood, it is as difficult as going to the sky. Your ability is crucial to the outcome of this battle. If you dare to drag me back, I will kill you with my own hands before air kills us both. When Brindewald's voice fell, air had already manipulated the costume Susano and slashed down. Get out of the way! The Red Earl roared. The Red Count himself is a strong man known for his speed and swordsmanship. Advertisement now, it has been increased by 10 times the speed of Brindewaldamomo fruit. His speed can be said to be close to ultimate. Even if the blade of the majestic Susano has reached the top of his head, he can dodge in an instant. At the same time, Brindewald is also extremely fast. After all, he used the Momo fruit 30 times the speed to increase his body. Are you only sneaking, air? Brindewald roared at air after dodging the surprise attack. Both times, air attacked without him noticing. If it weren't for the Red Earl's observation Hockey tip, he had foreseen the danger in advance. Otherwise, now he is probably already lying down. You two are too ignorant of this battle, don't you take it seriously, and discuss the plan while fighting with me. Air folded his hands on his chest, staring at the two of them calmly. Stop talking so much nonsense, Brindewald, let's go. The Red Earl yelled at Brindewald. The words fell, and the two approached Air with the speed of a meteor. Sky-splitting sword. Watching the two approaching with extreme speed, Air was directly above the blade of the powerful suit Susanoo. Covered with a top armament hockey. Although the size of the Wei Zhuang Susanoo is unusually large, it is very flexible. However, Brindewald used the Momo fruit, which increased the speed by 30 times. The speed is unimaginable. At the same time, the Red Earl itself is extremely fast. After being superimposed by Brindewald with 10 times the speed is also incomprehensible. The ultimate speed of the two. Even Air has a hard time manipulating the armor Susanoo to slash two people with the knife. But if it is covered with a layer of armament hockey, it will be different. You must know that when armament hockey reaches the advanced level, he can master the power of the outside world. That is, you don't need to attack to touch the enemy, you can also damage the enemy within a certain range. The size of the prestige Susanoo is huge, and the blade held in the hand is naturally extremely long. After wrapping the armament hockey around the blade of the majestic Susanoo, Air didn't need to cut the two with a knife at this point. Advertisement 0. Ask for flowers as long as the blade can pass the two of them. Armament hockey can play a role and cause damage to it. After wrapping around armament hockey, Air directly manipulated Susanoo into slashing towards the two of them. Shoo! One tore the sky apart, slashing both of them with a devastating knife. Too slow, Air. Prestige Susanoo's knife, though fast. But Brindewald was faster with the Red Earl. They turned sideways and easily avoided the knife. However, it didn't take long for them to be happy. They instantly felt that an incomparably violent force struck them. In the next second, they vomited blood and flew upside down hundreds of meters away. .00 heavy impact on the ruins. Brindewald and the Red Earl dodged the blade of Susanoo. But they didn't notice. I have already entered the range of armament hockey, which is wrapped around the blade. Bong! Captain Brindewald. The monster that Air unleashed was huge and might be terrifying, but I didn't expect that even the swordsmanship could keep up with the speed of Captain Brindewald and Bararik Redfield, 35. Captain Brindewald. He is most proud of his Momo fruit ability, but now even if he releases that ability, he can't avoid Air's attack at all. Really Air should not be the enemy of this monster. When the pirates in the distance saw the scene in front of them, their shock and fear were beyond words to describe. Now they are extremely regretting why they're here. I regret why I have to follow this group of big pirates and an existence like Air as an enemy. The other side. Damn, these two bastards aren't Air's opponents at all. 99. John looked at the two people who crashed into the ruins in the distance and couldn't help cursing. Although the three of them had difficulty dealing with Rox. At least there is a fight, but Brindewald and the Red Earl fights Air. It can almost be said to be a completely crushed form. Chapter 296 Fighting with Immortal Mentality. When those two bastards are defeated, Air will also intervene in this battle. What should I do? Looking at the approaching Rox, Silver Axe said in horror. With the Rox alone, they're hard to beat. If Air also intervenes, their chances of winning are completely zero. Damn, if I can leave this place alive, I will definitely take revenge on those bastards from the world government. 99. Ochaku couldn't help but look gloomy and cursed. Originally they were in the newspaper earlier. When I saw Air in Logue Town, when he defeated the three main forces of the Roger Regiment. Just gave up the idea of shooting Air, but I didn't expect that this time, people from the world government appeared. Said to invite them together against Air. They agreed to this request. The world government in this period really wanted them to kill I-800, which is why they said such words. But when Air resurrected the Rox, the world government was the first to get the news. At that time, the 5 big pirates of them had just gathered. At this time, if the world government informs them, Rox will be resurrected. Even if they were killed, they would definitely not come to this place, and they were enemies of Air and Rox at the same time. But the world government did not tell them the news. The purpose is obvious. I want them, the 5 great pirates of the New World, to fall into the hands of Air and Rox. Get out of this place alive. Ochaku, you're a complete idiot, you can't leave this place because your body will sink into the sea today. Rox exuded an unpretentious aura all over his body, and approached a few people. Captain Rox, the reason why we are here today is because of the world government. I hope you can give us a chance. I am willing to be loyal to you and Air. As for the losses caused today, we will all compensated. Ochaku takes the soft lane again. Originally, they still held a glimmer of hope and fought against Rox and Air. But after the fight, they discovered that the disparity in strength was too great. They know very well that there is absolutely no chance of winning. Ochaku is more willing to throw away his self-esteem than to lose his life. Ochaku, I won't give you any chance again. If you all help me in the Battle of the Valley of the Gods, then I might not be able to become the world hegemon. I'm very disappointed with you. So today, all three of you die by my sword. In the Battle of the Valley of the Gods, Rox was the most powerful man. Advertisement whenever Ochaku and others are willing to help him deal with the Roger Pirates. Let him take a breather and recover a little physical strength, then he has 100% certainty that he can win that battle. After defeating Marine and the Roger Pirates, I believe that pirates all over the world will follow him for it. At this time, he led the pirates from all over the world to attack the world government in one fell swoop. He believes that he will be able to become the hegemon of the world. However, in the end, he was betrayed. Now he doesn't trust anyone anymore. Those who betray him will have to pay the price. Damn it. Hearing Rox's answer, John, Ochaku, and Silver Axe's last hope of surviving was wiped out. Since you are killing us like this, even if we die today, we will pull you into the water, Rox. Silver Axe knew that he had no life, his face was gloomy, and his eyes were filled with smoky killing intent. Just the three of you, are you qualified enough? With a look of disdain on Rox's face, he glanced at several people contemptuously. Superior. With Ochaku's order, the three quickly rushed towards Rox. Now they have completely abandoned the way of life. Because they knew very well that no matter what, it was absolutely impossible for them to leave this place alive. Instead of continuing to fear, it is better to exchange life for life and let Rox sleep forever. Come. In the face of the attack of the three, the Rox was not wrong at all. On top of the supreme sword, Zanshin, wrapped in armor color and Conqueror's haki, charged directly towards the three of them. The figures of the four people approached with extreme speed, and then the four of them waved the weapons in their hands at the same time and used all their strength to shoot. In this battle, the four of them did not have the slightest reservation. For revenge, Rox naturally won't let Silver Axe and others hold their hands. Every attack launched was extremely fast and full of murderous intent. And John, Silver Axe, and Ochaku, at this time, have completely put their lives aside and regarded death as a return. No matter how dangerous the Rox launch, they didn't have the slightest fear. Advertisement even dared to exchange injuries with Rox. The four of them fought fiercely for just a moment. John, Ochaku, and Silver Axe are all seriously injured. At the same time, several knife marks appeared on Rox's body, and blood was continuously seeping out. But, compared to the serious injuries suffered by John, Silver Axe, and Ochaku, the injuries on Rox are completely insignificant. That's right, before dying, to have such an awareness, the three of you made me excited. 99. Looking at the bleeding wound on his body, Rox laughed. Rox belongs to that kind of existence, which is more and more courageous. The stronger the opponent, the more fun the Rox play. Although, John, Silver Axe, and Ochaku didn't give Rox any pressure at all. However, the opponent's brutal act of daring to exchange injury for injury. But it reminds Rox of the long-lost time when he lived a life of licking blood on the tip of a knife. Come on, let me see, today, who of the four of us can stand at the end. 35. Rox took off his clothes, revealing a strong, scarred body full of vigor. The words fell, and Rox rushed towards the three of them like a wild beast. At this time, he has completely abandoned defense and attacked with all his strength. Battle 4.3, Ochaku roared, and the three of them rushed towards Rox without fear. A brutal battle with no one defending, exchanging wounds for wounds, begins now. The other side. Air with the Red Earl, Brindewald. Under the attack of Air's costume Susano. No matter how fast the Red Earl is, Brindewald can hardly dodge his attack. In the short confrontation, the two have been hit several times by the offensive of the pretentious Susano. However, since it wasn't the blade of the victory Susano, it cut them. It was the armament haki wrapped around the blade that wounded them. So, despite having suffered several rounds of attacks, but with their monster-like physiques, they still stood up tenaciously. Chapter 297. It's over, it's more durable than I thought. Air stood on top of Susano's head, staring at the two of them indifferently. If Air can cut the blade directly on the two of them, I'm afraid that with just one blow, the two of them can fall to the ground directly. But unfortunately, the speed of the two is too flexible. He can only use the power of armament haki to traumatize the two. However, to be able to withstand several consecutive blows from armament haki, I have to say that the physique of the two is not weak. Damn. There's no way to approach this B********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************* of the ruins, staring at Air gloomily. Their only chance of defeating Air is to get the Red Earl close to Air. Air's blood is then drawn, allowing him to enter a state of senescence. But they are now, let alone near Air. Just dodging the blade of Susano's majestic outfit gave them a headache. Time. It's already evening. 35. The Red Earl wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and looked up into the sky. It can be seen that the sky has become a little gloomy. What? Could it be that you were planning to escape in the dark while waiting for the night? For the inexplicable words of the Red Earl, Brindywald responded indifferently. Running in the dark? I'm not that stupid. Instead, my devil fruit ability can be used. The Red Earl smiled slightly. It only takes a few days to eat the devil fruit in the form of a bat fruit, a phantom species, and a vampire. However, the Red Earl seems to have a heart-to-heart with this devil fruit. In just a few days, he developed an ability of this devil fruit. Dark night falls. The Red Earl opened his arms, only to see that the weather was only a little drowsy, and the dark clouds were dense in an instant, and it became extremely dark. The dark night covers the night sky, and you can't see your fingers. Well known. Bats are nocturnal animals, and when time arrives at night, the activity of bats will be greatly enhanced. In order to cater to the characteristics of bats being active at night, this devil fruit has the ability to create darkness. This can be found on Baidu. Advertisement, however, at present, his control over this ability is not very strong. Therefore, the time must be close to evening before he can create the pitch-black darkness. If the weather is too bright, he will not be able to display such abilities. The real fight begins, Brindywald, after creating darkness that enveloped the entire sky. The Red Earl felt that his speed and insight had improved several times. The words fell, and he quickly rushed towards the prestige Susano. Because of Brindywald's Momo fruit ability, it is blessed 10 times faster. Now, because it is night, his speed has increased several times again. Now, his speed has exceeded the speed of sound. In just an instant, he appeared directly above Air's head. He quickly charged towards Air, who was on Susano's forehead. The speed was so fast that it even made a sound of breaking through the air. Thousand flowers rain. The Red Earl approached Susano's forehead at high speed, and then turned the umbrella at a high speed. I saw countless, sharp-edged swords full of terrifying power, rushing towards Susano. Dang dang dang. The sound of metal collision resounded in everyone's ears. How is this possible? But the next second, he was stunned. Because of the hardness of the prestige Susano, it is more terrifying than he imagined. You know, the slash he hit out, but it's all covered with armor color and the power of Conqueror's Haki. But so many, extremely lethal slashes, just left a scratch on it. An attack like this alone won't break a defense, Bararic Redfield. Although the red count is really fast now, even so close to Air's observation Haki, it's hard to see. But the attack of the Red Earl, for him, hardly caused any injury. Because of the prestige Susano, it has a very strong defensive power in itself. Susato 9 Tails, the defense has been enhanced several times. Prestigious Susano, this unparalleled defense. How could the Red Earl, known for his speed and insight, be able to break through? Advertisement, swish. 9 When the Red Earl was stunned, the blade of the prestige Susano slashed directly at the Red Earl. But the Red Earl's speed was so fast that he directly avoided this slash. Fell to the ground. Damn, didn't you be D say the battle has just begun? I thought you were going to use all your strength, so that's all? Brindywald scolded the Red Earl. Although the speed of Earl Red did make him stunned. But, the speed is fast, and there is no threat to Air at all. Hearing Brindywald's words, the Red Earl also fell into contemplation. The Red Earl, himself a powerhouse known for his speed, entered the Dark Night. Because of Devil Fruit's characteristics, his speed will increase a lot again. With ultimate speed and superb Haki, he is not afraid of any powerhouse in this world. After all, as long as he has the opportunity to get close, he will have the opportunity to absorb blood, causing the enemy to age and physical strength to decline. And the only thing he fears is someone who can't break through the defense. And it just so happens that Air's prestige Susano makes him completely unable to break through the defense. The Red Earl, who had been silent for a long time, suddenly spoke up. No, I think there is still a chance. At my current speed, Air can't touch me at 800. If he can exhaust his physical strength, he still has a chance to win. The current Red Earl has given up the close air, and then sucked blood. Because he can't break through the defense of Susano, let alone close. But, Red Earl's current speed is already approaching ultimate. He can easily dodge the attack of Susano even in a pretentious costume. And he was sure that Air's release of the mighty Susano must have consumed a lot of stamina. If it can exhaust its physical strength, then there is still a chance of victory. You're exhausted, how dare you say it? Air couldn't help sneering when he heard the words. Because of the full level of Sage Body, Air's stamina is bottomless. Even if you unleash Susano, your stamina will not be exhausted for days and nights. I'm no longer interested in continuing to play with the two of you, so let this battle end as soon as possible. With the pretense of Susano alone, he can indeed defeat the Red Earl and Brindywald. If you can slash two people with the blade, you can end the battle with one blow. But now, the speed of the Red Earl was like a fly that could not be swatted, extremely fast. Therefore, Air now has no interest and continues to play with the two of them. It's time to use stronger power to end the battle. Chapter 298 Susanoo of Chakra's Fusion of Nine-Tailed Beasts. Prestige Susanoo is not the strongest form of Susanoo. On top of it, there is a stronger form, that is the ultimate Susanoo. With a thought, Air made contact with the 9 big-tailed beasts in his body. The chakra of the 9-tailed beast surged into Susanoo's body like a tsunami. At this time, the full-body Susanoo's armor has undergone a major change. Boom! Suddenly, a flash of lightning flashed across the sky, hitting Susanoo's body. I saw the ultimate Susanoo that has been fused with the 9-tailed beasts. It slowly floated into the air, holding a thunder knife in its hand. And around its body, there are extremely destructive white lightning. Lightning flashes constantly in the sky, shining in the dark night sky. The ultimate Susanoo towers into the air. This is the form of the ultimate Susanoo released by Uchiha Sasuke in the original book. However, Air is a lot tougher than the ultimate Susanoo he unleashes. After all, Uchiha Sasuke only absorbed part of the 9-tailed beast chakra. In Air's body, there is a chakra with a complete 9-tailed beast. Hey, this is God's power. I now know why the Rox, who dominated the world in the old days, surrendered to such a man, because he mastered the power of a god. The strength of such monsters, let alone Captain Brindywald and Bararik Redfield teamed up, I'm afraid John, Silver Axe, and Ochaku are not his opponents at all. We're the wrong person. If we follow monsters like Air, he might be able to lead us to dominate the world in the future. Look at what Air unleashes, the ultimate Susanoo. The pirates in the distance were frightened and froze in place. Although, Air has yet to unleash the power of the ultimate Susanoo. But just the aura emanating from them made them feel like an abyss, a general despair. At this time, many pirates are regretting. Why follow Brindywald, Ochaku, John, Silver Axe et al.? If surrendered to Air, allegiance to him. So when Air dominates the world in the future, can't they also enjoy all the glory and wealth? But unfortunately, they still followed the wrong person. On the opposite side of Air, and the price is that all of them will die at the hands of Air today. Just kidding. Got stronger. Advertisement. The Red Earl was completely stunned when he looked at the ultimate Susanoo in front of him. He could feel that the current form of Susanoo is countless times stronger than before. If, just now, he thought he had a little confidence that he could use up Air's physical strength to win. Now, his heart is completely lost, because he doesn't know. The ultimate Susanoo power released by the current Air, what a terrifying level. Not far away, the terrified Brindywald wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. Although the scene was filled with the sounds of fear of various pirates, it seemed unusually noisy. But at this time, he could clearly hear that his heart was beating violently. A sense of terror had completely filled his entire brain. However, at this moment, he seemed to suddenly have an epiphany. Momo 50 times faster, he let out a soft yawn, and then covered himself with Devil Fruit's ability. Previously, the limit he could increase his speed to was 30 times the speed. But, in such a desperate moment of crisis, life-threatening, the development of his Devil Fruit has pushed the limits. It can directly increase its speed by 50 times. Success. Feel the body become lighter. Brindywald knows that he is now a full 50 times faster. Tread. Brindywald stomped the ground hard, but instead of rushing towards Air, he ran in the other direction. Although the ability of Momo Fruit has allowed him to develop to ultimate. Increase your speed by a factor of 50, but he knew that he would never be able to beat Air. Right now, there is only one thought in his mind, that is escape. He wants to use this almost light speed to escape from the country of Darasta. Brindywald's figure crossed several afterimages in the space almost instantly. In the blink of an eye, he had already run hundreds of meters away. Want to escape? Air, who was standing in the air, sneered as he looked at Brindywald's escaping figure. Advertisement. The previous Susanoo 9 tails, the power is terrible, the defense is terrible, but the speed is not very fast. But now, Air just dropped 9 tails body. With Susanoo as the carrier, the chakra power of the 9-tailed beast is poured into it. After carrying the power of the 9-tailed beasts, the ultimate Susanoo has completely abandoned defense. This will lead to his speed, to the point of ultimate. Woo! A roaring sound that ripped apart the night sky and shook the space sounded. I saw Air manipulating Susanoo, and in the blink of an eye, it moved nearly a kilometer away. Appeared above Brindywald's head. How is it possible? Brindywald, feeling the terrifying breath behind him, looked back and saw that he was sweating all over. You must know that his current speed has increased by 50 times compared to his normal state. This extreme speed allows him to move hundreds of meters away in an instant. But, Just like him, the speed beyond the limit was directly overtaken by air. My territory, you can come and go as you want, Grindelwald. The Arrow of Indra. This move is exactly the strongest move that Uchiha Sasuke released in the Battle of the End Valley. That is to say, it absorbs the strongest arrow fired by Chakra, the nine-tailed beast, and has the power to almost destroy the world. Monies. The Thunderblade in the hands of Ultimate Susanoo formed a long arrow made of thunder and lightning. The size of the long arrow is even bigger than the Ultimate Susanoo. Covers the sky almost all day. At this moment, the power of nature all over the world seems to be focused on this thunder arrow. Terrifying power emerged from the thunder arrow. Whoosh. A long arrow gathered by the terrifying thunder and lightning that ripped through the night sky and ripped apart the sky, flew directly towards Grindelwald. Boom boom. As the thunder arrow fell, there was a burst of noise on the ground. The momentum that was enough to pierce the eardrums shook the entire Darasta country. There was an endless gust of wind howling. The pirates who were closer were directly blown into the air by the gust of wind. What's more, he was directly shocked to death on the spot. At the scene, endless gray smoke and dust were set off. The smoke and dust almost enveloped the sky above the entire Darasta country. Chapter 299 The Death of John, Ochaku, Silver Axe, Burndi. As the smoke and dust slowly dissipated, everyone could see it. Standing under Susanoo's body in midair, a rift valley that is thousands of meters long and bottomless appeared. And Grindelwald, by this time, was nowhere to be seen. If nothing else, he was shot to death by the Arrow of Indra. I just saw a few afterimages flash across the space, and then Captain Grindelwald disappeared. But this monster released by air was even faster and even caught up with Captain Grindelwald. What kind of move was that just now, that long arrow that spreads the power of thunder and lightning? The power is too terrifying. 35. Captain Grindelwald is dead, he can't handle such an attack. As this air's strength, no matter what Captain Grindelwald says, he is also a pirate with a bounty of 4.7 billion Baileys from the New World, but in front of him, he couldn't hold a single blow. After Captain Grindelwald is dead, it's our turn. More. Countless pirates, looking at the conspicuous Great Rift Valley that is thousands of meters away, are shocked, and it is difficult to express in words. At this time, they were completely shocked, and fear filled their brains. Big pirates like Grindelwald were all killed by air. And this group of pirates with a bounty of more than 80 million Bailey, what is it? Air 800, standing in the air, used observation hockey to survey the Great Rift Valley below. I didn't feel the slightest breath of life. Is it dead? Grindelwald? Grindelwald's speed is fast, but Susanoo is faster in this state. It was impossible for Grindelwald to dodge the Arrow of Indra. The ultimate Susanoo, which received the power of the nine-tailed beasts, was attacked with all his strength. Grindelwald doesn't die, that's impossible. After beheading Grindelwald, air quickly returned to his place. However, he could no longer feel the aura of the Red Earl. You got away, Bararik Redfield. The moment he goes to chase Grindelwald. The Red Earl did not hesitate at all, seized the moment in time, and successfully escaped from the Darasta country. However, air did not continue to hunt down the Red Earl. After all, as long as the Red Earl was in the sea, air would always find a chance to kill him. Advertisement the other side. Oh? Is the battle over on your side? Air added, looks like I need to finish off the remaining two quickly too. Rox held John's head in his hand, glanced at air, and smiled. He was not surprised by air's strength. After all, when he was resurrected, he fought air's sage of six paths completely. Rox, Ochaku and Silver Axe, who were still alive, were gasping for breath, staring at Rox with a hideous expression. Although they were not afraid of death, they did not do any defense at all, and launched an uninterrupted offensive against the Rox. But the strength gap between the two sides is not something they can make up for with their hard work. Rox is too strong, and now, has killed John. At the same time, both of them are now seriously injured. On the other hand, Rox has only a few conspicuous and hideous stab wounds on his body. This kind of injury, for a strong man like Rox, is completely insignificant, and it can't affect him at all. Let's go on, Ochaku, Silver Axe. Rox threw John's head in front of him, then smashed it with one foot and stomped the ground. Charged towards Ochaku and Silver Axe. Fight. The two roared and rushed towards Rox as well. The figures of the three people pulled in at an extreme speed, and then simultaneously waved the blades in their hands. Let you all feel deeply the difference in strength between us before you die. 35. Rox grinned. Put the armament hockey and conqueror's hockey in your body into the blade in your hand. The blade appeared instantly, and the black steam lingered and lingered, exuding the terrifying killing intent of ultimate. Cut. Rox roared, using his full strength with both knives. He poured all his swordsmanship skills and haki into the blade and slashed towards Ochaku's silver axe. Boom! The violent explosion sounded directly through the sky. Advertisement Ochaku and silver axe were seriously injured, and the weapons in their hands were thrown directly by the rocks. It's over, Ochaku, silver axe. As Rox's voice fell, Ochaku and silver axe's heads were directly chopped off by rocks. The blood of the headless corpse was sprayed into the sky, the head flew high and then fell heavily on the ground. So far, the original Rox cadres, John, Ochaku, and Silver Axe have all fallen. In this battle, although the three of you died under my sword, you made me fight very well. Ochaku, John, Silver Axe have been in this sea for a long time. The strength has already reached the peak period. But their strength is not enough in front of Rox. It's just that the three of them joined forces to fight to the death, which made Rox feel the long-lost blood. Ochaku, John, and Silver Axe all died at the hands of Rox. It's over, this time to deal with Air. The 5 big pirates of New World joined forces. In the end, not only did Air not hurt, but 4 big pirates fell. What to do? They're already dead. Next, it's our turn. Many pirates looked at Air and Rox, who were like gods of war on the battlefield, and were terrified. Ochaku, John, Silver Axe, burned walled to die. The Red Earl escaped, and this action to encircle and suppress Air can be described as a fiasco. Today, the 4 big pirates are dead, and Air will definitely not let them go. Puff! I saw a pirate who took the hole and pierced his heart, his eyes were white and he fell down. It's better to kill yourself than to die at the hands of these 2 monsters. 39. A pirate swallowed a mouthful of water. Now their brains have been completely occupied by fear. They know that what awaits them must be death. Instead of continuing to suffer from fear, it is better to commit suicide now. As the pirate's voice fell, all the pirates at the scene followed suit and began to commit suicide. For a moment, there were less than 100 pirates who were still alive and did not commit suicide. Other than that, everyone else commits suicide. However, before the nearly 100 pirates begged for mercy, Rox beheaded them all with one knife. This battle has come to an end. Chapter 300 news release that shocked the world. After the battle, Rox inserted the blade back into the scabbard, walked slowly towards Air, and smiled. A little over the top, Air, this country should be yours. It can be seen that they have experienced a lot of battles. More than 70% of the buildings in the entire Drosta kingdom were destroyed. A mess, gravel, ruins, torn ground. The whole country is in ruins. The country is gone, just buy another one. Air looked around and said calmly. Because of the creation of the agency, Air's current wealth is innumerable. So just a country was destroyed, and he didn't feel bad about it. If it's gone, just buy another one. And don't forget, this beheading, John, Ochaku, Silver Axe, burned walled 4 people. Next, Air can also send someone to collect all the sites and treasures of the 4. The wealth obtained is believed to be enough for Air to acquire a few more countries. Ha ha ha. You guy, you have accumulated a lot of wealth over the years. Rox laughed when he heard this. For existences like this, wealth has long been an external thing, isn't it? Air said lightly. Makes sense. But then again, after the Rox killed John, Ochaku, and Silver Axe, do you still have murderous intentions towards Shiki's group? Air asked suddenly. Back then in the Valley of the Gods. Those who betrayed the Rox were Golden Lion, Charlotte Linlin, Kaido, Ochaku, John, Silver Axe, 6. Now the John trio has fallen, leaving only the Golden Lion, Charlotte Linlin, and Kaido. For this question, Rox did not answer directly, but smiled slightly. Air, can't help you reach the highest throne with my own hands. The speed of life in my body is passing much faster than I thought, and if there is no accident, in a few days, when the life force in my body is completely dissipated, I will die. Rox said with a helpless smile. His own body, he himself must be very clear. According to the speed at which the life force in the body continues to flow. He deduced that within a few days, he would disappear into this sea. Tisk, can you only survive for such a short time? Advertisement. Hearing Rox's words, Air frowned slightly. Although the system did not specify how long the resurrected people could survive. But Rox has only survived for a few days now, and will die in a few days. This is equivalent to saying that it only survived for nearly a week. Although it is said that the use of outsider Rinne Tensai technique will not cause any negative effects on Air's body. However, it is too outrageous to only survive for such a short period of time. If you kill all the Shiki guys before you die, there will only be a few pirates left in the entire New World who are a threat to the world government. This is a bad situation for you. Rox continued. Originally, when he was just resurrected, he did have a huge killing intent towards Golden Lion and others. However, as the battle with John and the others ended, he felt that his vitality was rapidly dissipating. He dismissed the idea, because of the great pirates of the New World today. A big pirate who is still alive and can pose a great threat to the world government and naval headquarters. They are, Air, Golden Lion, Charlotte Linlin, Kaido, Red Earl, Whitebeard and others. As for Hawkeye, Dragon, and Bullet, the strength of these people is not weak, but, after all, they have not fully grown up. And Rayleigh, Jabba too. Although they also have good strength, but the Roger group disbanded, they have also chosen to withdraw from the disputes in the sea. During this period, if Golden Lion and others are killed, then, the big pirates in this sea can almost be said to be only Air, Whitebeard, and Red Earl left. If such a situation arises, world government and naval headquarters, there is no need to worry too much about other big pirates. Instead, all the troops can be used to destroy Air. As for the Red Earl, he is likely to join forces with the world government to siege Air. If such a situation occurs, it is quite bad for Air. You're quite considerate of me, Rox. Air smiled reassuringly. It has to be said that the current Rox is still extremely loyal to him. So, the Rox didn't want it because of their own hatred. 0. Ask for flowers and create a dead end for him. However, this is actually not a dead end for Air. Advertisement, ha ha ha. Air, although I can't witness the future of you, standing on the top of the world, but I believe you will do it, Rox laughed. With only a few days left to live, he naturally couldn't witness with his own eyes that Air was standing at the end of the world. However, he is full of confidence in Air and thinks he can do it. Air smiled slightly and didn't say much. Within a day, Rox was resurrected. And such shocking news that Rox Air teamed up to fight against the 5 great pirates of the New World. It quickly spread throughout the New World. New World, Wano Kuni, the center of the Ghost Island. At this time, Kaido was sitting in the main hall drinking. At this time, there was a sound of footsteps outside the hall. I saw Quinn looking flustered, holding a newspaper in his hand and running in with cold sweat on his face. He kept shouting in his mouth, Big Brother Kaido, it's not good, it's not good. Quinn, why do you run in so recklessly every time? Jin, who was standing beside Kaido, said with a displeased expression. Regarding Jin's words, Kui was uncharacteristically this time. Instead of arguing with him, he quickly came to Kaido with a look of horror on his face. Not good, Kaido brother, what happened, Quinn? Kaido took a gulp of the wine, then turned the wine gourd to one side, and asked with a raised eyebrow. New World recently released a piece of news, but I don't know if this news is true or not. If it is true, this is a big bad news for us. 35. Bring the newspaper here. Kaido heard the words and sat up, with a solemn expression on his face, and stretched out his hand to ask. Quinn hurriedly handed the newspaper in his hand to Kaido. Kaido took the newspaper, and after reading the contents, dense cold sweat appeared on his forehead. What's on the news, Quinn? Seeing Kaido's expression, Jin quickly asked. It says, Rox resurrected, Quinn begged truthfully. Chapter 301 frightened Kaido. What, Rox resurrected? Brother Quinn, are you kidding us? Rox has been dead for more than 10 years, how can the dead be resurrected? Yes, Brother Quinn, this news must be fake, after all, it is impossible for the dead to be resurrected. Hearing Quinn's words, the many pirates in the Ghost Island were shocked, and then they talked about it. They are naturally familiar with the name Rox. After all, many of the pirates present came from old times. I also don't think this is true, it's just. There is a seagull logo printed on the newspaper. 55 Quinn wiped the sweat on his forehead and said. The seagull's logo represents naval headquarters. In other words, this newspaper was published by naval headquarters. And 800 naval headquarters released such news. The purpose is very simple. Exactly to throw the New World into complete chaos. They marine as parties in the Battle of the Valley of the Gods. Naturally, it was clear that the Golden Lion and others had betrayed the Rox. Today, the Rox are resurrected in their marine's view. Rox will definitely seek revenge for this group of big pirates. New World's big pirates are downsized, which is a great thing for them. After all, this can weaken the power of the great pirates of the New World. Their marines will have a stronger foothold in the New World. A news release from Marine? Many pirates in Ghost Island took a deep breath when they heard the words. If this news was released by an unknown news agency in New World, they certainly won't believe it, but if Marine publishes it, then it is quite authoritative. Kaido, sitting in the center of the hall, stared at the newspaper in his hand, cold sweat dripping from his forehead. Kaido, what do you think? Do you think this news, is it true or false? Jin asked with a solemn expression. Looking at the newspaper in his hand, Kaido took a deep breath and said with a heavy expression. Advertisement, Marine shouldn't have any reason to publish a fake news. Although the news on the news made Kaido unbelievable. However, Kaido doesn't think Marine would be bored enough to post a fake news. After all, there is no benefit to Marine. After all, Marine's news is highly authoritative. If fake news is released this time, the authority of the Marine News Agency will be lost. In the future, who will believe the news released by Marine? Rox. Really resurrected? 35. Hey, if the men who occupied the top of the world in the old era were resurrected, then what kind of storms would this sea cause? Damn, just because of the existence of monsters like air, we, the pirates, are in a passive situation. Now even characters like Rox are resurrected. This is very bad news for us. Many pirates in Onishima heard what Kaido meant. He couldn't help taking a deep breath, and said with a terrified expression. Today, in this era, air is overwhelming the pirates all over the world with absolute top strength. Firmly occupy the top, no one can compare with it, no one can compare with it. Even if they are beasts pirates, they are allied with the sky pirates at this time. But, air's existence still makes them unable to shake. Today, even extremely terrifying existences like Rox have come to join in the fun in this era. They really don't know how chaotic this sea will be in the future. Tap tap. At this moment, outside the hall, there was another sound of footsteps. I saw several pirates, holding newspapers in their hands, and running in with a terrified face. Not good, Kaido boss, Luo, Rox are resurrected. You guys, get out of here, Brother Kaido already knows about this news, don't disturb Brother Kaido's thinking now. Quinn scolded the pirates behind him when he heard the words. Now that the Rox are resurrected, and they're beasts pirates, there must be some action. So, next, Kaido thinks and the decision he makes will be extremely important. Quinn didn't want anyone to disturb Kaido's thinking at a time like this. Yes, I'm sorry Brother Quinn, I didn't know you had seen this news. We thought, you didn't know it yet, the news that Air resurrected the Rox Zero. Advertisement, I'm sorry, Brother Quinn, we'll leave first. The group of pirates quickly apologized when they heard Quinn's scolding. The words fell, and several pirates were ready to leave. Quinn stopped them suddenly and asked in disbelief. Wait, what did you say? Air resurrected the Rox? The news that Quinn saw, which only described the resurrection of Rox. Other than that, there is no other news. Therefore, as for the news that Rox is Air's resurrection, he said that the news he saw did not describe it. Did the monster Air resurrect the Rox? Hey, just kidding, if Air resurrects Rox, doesn't that mean that the two have joined forces? One is the old era, the man who occupies the top of the pyramid, and the other is the existence of this era, who overwhelms the heroes. If these two join forces, how do I feel? They can even rule the world. After hearing this news, many pirates in Oni Island were shocked. They are naturally very clear about Air's strength, after all, they are in the same era as Air today. And the strength of Rox, they are also very clear, because many of them come from the old times. Two extremely powerful people join forces, they are really unimaginable. How turbulent will the sea in the future be? 4.3. It is not surprising that these two join forces to dominate the world. Bring the newspapers here. Quinn stepped forward directly and snatched the newspaper from the pirate's hands. In the next second, his face was pale, and he was sweating profusely, and he couldn't help but take a few steps backwards. Air joins forces with the Rox to kill John, Ochaku, Silver Axe, Brindywald? Kaido heard the contents of the newspaper, his pupils shrank, and he stood up abruptly. John, Silver Axe, and Ochaku, are those three bastards dead? These three are Kaido's former companions. Also, he was the one who betrayed Rox at the Battle of the Valley of the Gods. Did these three die at the hands of Rox and Air? This moment gave Kaido a bad feeling. Chapter 302 Whitebeard's Visit. Quinn, get the newspaper. Kaido got up from his chair and walked over to Quinn. And Quinn also quickly handed the newspaper to Kaido. Kaido, who took over the newspaper, the more he looked, the more serious his face became. Jin, prepare a ship for me, I need to go to the country of Drosta. Although Kaido didn't know what kind of abilities Air possessed. Can bring Rox, the man who has been dead for more than 10 years, back to life. At the same time, I don't know why Air wants to resurrect men like Rox. But now Kaido, self-aware, something is wrong. Because of the battle in the Valley of the Gods, Kaido also did not lend a helping hand to Rox. And the three who had betrayed Rox, John, Ochaku, and Silver Axe, have been liquidated by Rox. And he was afraid that he would be the next liquidation object of the Rox. How terrifying the strength of Rox is. Kaido had been a crew member, of course, was particularly aware. Plus, there's a good chance the Rox will form an alliance with Air. If these two come to the door at the same time, even if Kaido has great ability, O3 will die. So, continue to stay on the Ghost Island and sit still. He might as well show his attitude and take the initiative to find Rox. Since then, maybe there is still a way to live. Brother Kaido, if you go, there's a good chance you'll die in that place. Quinn heard the words and worriedly discouraged. He had learned some information about the Battle of the Valley of the Gods from the drunk Kaido. So, he knew Kaido had betrayed the Rox. At this time, Kaido chose to meet Rox. In his view, it is undoubtedly an act of courting death. Otherwise, let's just give up the Wano Kuni territory and move our forces to other places to avoid the limelight, Jin suggested. Although they are beasts pirates, they are well known throughout the New World. 1. Rox and air are two terrifying beings. Advertisement. It's their beasts pirates, an existence that can never be provoked or rivaled. Now, they, beasts pirates, are likely to be doomed. To avoid, encounter Rox liquidation. They are willing to give up the resourceful territory of Wano Kuni directly and move to an uninhabited place to hide from the limelight. No, I can't hide, Jin. Air's forces are all over the world. If he hides, he will find us. Kaido shook his head slightly. Although the country of Drosta is the stronghold of the forces created by Air. However, Air's pirates are the most numerous in the world. It has already spread all over the world. In this case, where could they, beasts pirates, hide? But, Jin wanted to say something else. Kaido interrupted. Needless to say, prepare a ship for me. If the object of Rox liquidation is me, then you will be fine. Kaido turned the newspaper in his hand to one side and made up his mind. If carrying the entire beast's pirates, hide. If found, the entire beast's pirates will be doomed. But if he is the only one who goes to the Drosta country, either he will be forgiven by the Rox, and everything will be fine. Either he'll die in that place, but in the meantime he'll intercede to spare the rest of the beast's pirates. Meanwhile, on the other side, New World, a certain sea area. In this sea area, there is a huge ship. The shape of the ship's bow is like a whale. This ship is the Moby D*K. It is also the ship of the Whitebeard pirates. At this time, Whitebeard was sitting on a chair in the middle of the deck, drinking fine wine, while chatting with the pirates around him. At this moment, a few pirates in the distance, panting, ran over with two newspapers. Oh, Daddy, big news. Oh, that B************** D. Roger. He was executed not long ago. Has there been any interesting news from this sea? Dad said with great interest. What's on the news? Advertisement asked Marco, who was standing beside Whitebeard. Air resurrected the Rox, joined forces with them, and killed John, Ochaku, Silver Axe, Burndy Wald, the four big pirates. The pirates swallowed and stated the contents of the news. What? What? Hey, true or false? John, Ochaku, Silver Axe, Burndy Wald. All of them are big pirates of the New World. Did they die at the hands of Air? The strength of this monster, Air, is too exaggerated. He even teamed up with Rox. Wait a minute, what are you talking about? Rox. Originally, the many pirates on the ship were still shocked by the fall of John and other big pirates. But the next second, they suddenly froze, because they seemed to have heard the name of Rox just now. Where did you read the news? It's too fake. Rox has been dead for more than 10 years. How can he be resurrected? Marco rubbed his chin with his hand and expressed his opinion. This guy Air is really strong, but the ability to resurrect the dead is too exaggerated in the future. Joes also agreed with Marco's words. Joes still has some understanding of Air's strength. Once when they visited Air with the Whitebeard pirates, he offended Air for saying 800 wrong, but he was directly stunned by Air's terrifying conquerors. Haki, who was so close to Tinling Gai, made his soul tremble, but he has never forgotten it. He admits that Air's strength is extremely strong, even above Whitebeard. But if the dead will be resurrected, it would be too much. The news was released with naval headquarters, so there's a chance it could be true. Whitebeard, who had been silent for a long time, said, "Bring the newspaper and let me see it." "Yes, Dad." The pirate hurriedly handed the newspaper in his hand to Whitebeard. Whitebeard took the newspaper and began to think seriously. "How about it, Dad? Do you think this news is true or false?" Marco looked at Whitebeard and couldn't help asking after a long silence. "If you want to verify the authenticity of this news, it seems that you need to go to the country of Drosta, 99. Whitebeard took a deep breath. He is also not sure whether the newspaper in his hand is true or not. And if you want to verify the authenticity of this news, you only need to visit Air in the country of Drosta. Little ones, set sail, to the country of Drosta. Whitebeard stood up and shouted. Chapter 303 Store Refresh, Special Items, Please Order. Except for Kaido and Whitebeard, Charlotte Linlin, as well as the Golden Lion, also rushed to the Drosta country after getting the news. Charlotte Linlin, although previously beaten by Air Shen Hai. However, it did not die at the hands of Air. Except for Cake Island, all other sites were destroyed by Air. A few days later, New World, the country of Drosta. Although this country, through the Battle of Air and Rox with the 5 great pirates, more than 70% of the area was destroyed. However, there are still 30% of the places that have not been completely destroyed. At present, Air has no idea of acquiring other countries and moving to other places. So, let the pirates under the banner begin to repair the country. At the same time, they also sent people to collect John, Silver Axe, Ochaku, Burndy Walder's 4 people's territory. Rox and Air are drinking in the pub at this time. Rox sat on a chair, holding a fine wine in his hand, sipped a glass of it, and said with a smile on the corner of his mouth. What a short time, Air. 9. How long do you have left to live, Rox? Air asked. If nothing else, today. I will die. 35. Although he was indeed resurrected, the resurrection time was indeed too short. So far, only about a week or so has passed, but the vitality in his body is constantly passing away. He could clearly feel that the beating speed of his heart in the body was much slower than usual. At this time, he could not help but feel that his body began to weaken. A week? Air couldn't help smacking his tongue. Originally, Air also planned to rely on the outsider Rinne Tensai technique to resurrect the dead and form an army. However, it now appears that this wish cannot be realized. Because resurrected people can only survive for a week. The time to live is too short. Although, it's only a short time, but I'm very happy during this time, Air. Advertisement. Rox leaned back in the chair, the corners of his mouth raised slightly. His heart has been dead since the Battle of the Valley of the Gods. And now, it was Air who brought him back to life. Although he could only survive for a week, he did not expect more. At the very least, enjoying it again for a week is better than staying in the Valley of the Gods all the time. The next second, Rox's face sank and he sighed. But, the only pity is that I didn't see with my own eyes the day you ascended to the highest throne. Since Rox is loyal to Air, he naturally wants him to reach the top. However, now his time limit has come, and it won't take long. I believe he will be turned into bones again. Therefore, his wish was naturally unfulfilled. Hearing his words, Air said after a moment of silence. The day I ascend the throne, the Rox that will bring you back to life. Although it is said that after the current Rox is dead, Air can still use the outsider Rinne Tensai technique to resurrect him. But, Air's number of resurrection of the dead is limited. As for what the upper limit is, Air is unclear. So, Air won't bring Rox back to life after he's dead now. After all, Air didn't know whether the outsider Rinne Tensai technique resurrected the dead twice or not. If it is twice. So even if Rox is dead now, there is absolutely no point in resurrecting him. Since Rox wants to see him ascend to the highest throne. Then when he really reaches that height, he can revive Rox again. Rox laughed when he heard this. Ha ha ha. It's an appointment, Air. 5. Of course. Air smiled slightly. Although Rox was resurrected, Air only spent nearly a week with him. However, the current Rox, it is very suitable for Air's appetite. We'll have to see if we can find a way to bring Rox back to life in the future. Just as the two were talking, the door of the tavern slowly opened and a few pirates walked in. In their arms, each was holding several boxes. The pirate placed the box in front of Air and said respectfully. Lord Air, this is the devil fruit obtained by looting John, Ochaku, Silver Axe, Burndy Wald, and there are 15 devil fruits in total. 5. Advertisement. These 4 people, after all, are the famous big pirates of New World, and naturally they have countless treasures. Now, 4 of them are dead, and Air has all taken over their turf. Devil fruit, of course, has also belonged to him. I see, let's go. Air nodded. You have a lot of secrets, Air. Even though I've been with you for a long time, I still can't see through you until now. Since Air got on the boat, Rox has noticed that Air is unusual. But, he could only see that Air was unusual. As for what kind of secrets Air had, he didn't know. To this day, he remains elusive. In this pirate world, a normal person can only eat 1 devil fruit at most. But, Rox always felt that Air's physique was different from everyone else's. You can eat multiple devil fruits, so you can release a lot of abilities. Everybody has a secret, doesn't it, Rox? However, if you say the secret that you carry, the world will be shaken. Rox said with great interest. The strength of Rox today has represented the top of the world. There is no chance of improvement, and Air's strength can break through this upper limit and reach a higher level, monies. The unusualness of this, Rox guessed, must have something to do with the secret Air carries. As he said, Air's secrets, if published. I am afraid that the whole world will tremble for it. Maybe so. Air smiled and didn't say much. At this moment, the voice of the system came from Air's mind. Ding, congratulations host, the mall has refreshed new items. The mall has been refreshed. Hearing the sound of the system, Air was slightly taken aback. He remembered that the last time the system store was refreshed was in Logue Town, not long after it ended. Refresh so soon. You must know that he had waited for several years before the system mall was refreshed once. It has to be said that Air is really unpredictable about the urine of the system. Tukao returned to Tukao. Air still clicked on the system's mall rules. Chapter 304 Captain Rox is really resurrected. You can see that there is an item in the special product column in the mall. Air glanced at the value of the product and was slightly startled. 30 devil fruit. 35. He remembered that the special items that were refreshed in the previous mall only required 15 devil fruits. Why do you need 30 devil fruits now? Air glanced at the goods on sale and was stunned again. Otsutsuki Kaguya's abilities. Otsutsuki Kagaya is the final boss of the Hokage ninja world. It is also the incarnation of the divine tree, the ancestor of chakra, the founding god of the ninja world, with the two top pupil techniques of white eyes and reincarnation Sharingan. His strength is even stronger than Sage of Six Paths. In the end, it was sealed by Otsutsuki Hagoromo and Otsutsuki Hamura together. However, it's just a seal, she can be said to be almost immortal. And, even more astonishingly, before being sealed, she created Black Zetsu with her will and body. And plan, let Black Zetsu bring her back to life. She possesses all sorts of terrifying abilities. The power is unimaginable. Air now knows that for 800, the products refreshed in the mall this time are so expensive. After all, the ability to acquire Otsutsuki Kagaya, such a terrifying woman. 30 devil fruit is really not much. Without the slightest hesitation, Air directly spent 30 devil fruit to purchase Otsutsuki Kaguya's ability. In this pirate world, although devil fruit is extremely rare. However, Air's forces are now spread all over the world, and people are looking for devil fruit for him every day and night. At the same time, Vegapunk is also trying his best to make artificial devil fruit for him. Therefore, 30 devil fruit, for others, is an unattainable number. But for Air, although 30 devil fruits are many, he still has them. Ding! Congratulations to the host, the purchase is successful, and the ability of Otsutsuki Kagaya is obtained. As the sound of the system fell, a special energy flowed into Air's body. In just a few moments, there is a memory usage of Otsutsuki Kaguya's many abilities. Like a tsunami, it all poured into Air's body. Advertisement. However, Air does not have the full power of Master to Otsutsuki Kagaya. Such as Infinite Tsukuyomi and the Coming of the Gods, the moves in this column. Although not Master Infinite Tsukuyomi, this kind of pervert ability. However, for most of Otsutsuki Kaguya's abilities, Air has arrived as the master. In this regard, Air already felt very satisfied. After all, Air, the master of the Sage of Six Paths system, possesses extraordinary terrifying combat power. Now, Master has the ability of Otsutsuki Kagaya again, and Air's strength has improved a lot. When Air laments getting Otsutsuki Kaguya's abilities, the door of the tavern slowly opened again. I saw a few pirates pushed in the door and came to Air and Rox respectfully. Lord Air, Shiki, Captain of the Sky Pirates, Edward Newgate of the Whitebeard Pirates, Charlotte Linlin, Captain of the BIGMOM Pirates, Kaido, Captain of the Beasts Pirates, please meet. These 4 people are all one of the strongest pirates in the world today. And 3 of them will become the emperors of New World in the future. If it weren't for the Golden Lion in the original book, at the Battle of Advor with Roger, he was hit in the head by the rudder. Otherwise, Air felt that with the strength of the Golden Lion, he could become the 4 emperors of the New World. Now, this group of people, knowing the news of Rox's resurrection, rushed here from their side without stopping. Shiki, Linlin, Edward, Kaido. These guys, I haven't seen them for a long time. Rox said with a ruthless smile in his eyes. He remembered the dialogue in the Valley of the Gods battle very clearly. He turned to Charlotte, added, Linlin, and the Golden Lion for help, but in exchange was ruthless rejection. If it weren't for the fact that he is now, his deadline is approaching, and he cannot continue to assist Air. And at this time, if this group of pirates were all killed, then the situation in New World will be very bad for Air. Otherwise, he would have gone to these bastards to settle accounts. Looks like they've already got the information about your resurrection, Rox. Marine announced the resurrection of Rox directly after the Battle of Darasta. The purpose is to make the world in chaos. Now, these people must have come here because they saw the news released by Marine. These bastards, I can't wait to meet them. How, do you want to kill them? Advertisement. That's not necessary, after all. It's not good for you. Rox shook his head slightly. Let them come over. Air glanced at the pirates and gestured. Yes, Lord Air. After the pirates left this sentence, they left quickly. After a while, the door of the tavern was opened again. I saw, Whitebeard, Golden Lion, Charlotte Linlin, Kaido, all appeared at the door. Lo! Captain Rox. After seeing the appearance of Rox, Golden Lion broke out in a cold sweat and couldn't help but take a few steps backwards. After all, he remembered that he mockingly rejected Rox's request for help. Now, Rox is standing in front of him alive and well, how can he not be afraid? Although the current Golden Lion, the strength has long been different from what it used to be. And there is no rudder on his head to affect his strength. But Rox used to be the terrifying power of the entire sea. Still shrouded in Golden Lion's heart. Are you really alive, Captain Rox? Charlotte Linlin, who was injured beside him, also looked at Rox in horror. When she just saw the news from Marine about the Rox coming back to life. She felt bad, because Air had come to her territory and asked her for pointers to the Valley of the Gods. After a few days, news about Rox came, when she took a boat from Cake Island, all the way to the country of Darasta. I have always been terrified, and now, after seeing the live Rox with my own eyes, she felt a stronger sense of fear in her heart. Rox was resurrected by Air. And the two of them, a few days ago, beheaded John, Ochaku, Silver Axe, these three people who had betrayed the Rox. Now, if the Rox had murderous intentions on him and wanted to kill them, no matter how many of them join forces, it is absolutely impossible to be the opponent of Air and Rox. Chapter 305 Surrender to me. I really didn't expect that the news released by Marine turned out to be true. Whitebeard was equally surprised. It is precisely because he is not sure that the news released by Marine is true or false. That's why I set the boat in person and arrived in the country of Drosta. Kaido's face was heavy at this time, and his eyes were staring at Rox. He did not know what the fate awaited him today would be. However, if Rox wanted to kill him, he would definitely resist with all his strength. But at the same time, he also knows that it is impossible to be the opponent of Air and Rox. Why haven't we seen you for a long time? You haven't forgotten me, the former captain. Rox stood up slowly, a smile on the corner of his mouth, and carefully looked at the few people in front of him. Linlin, you've gained a lot more weight than before, 35. Kaido, your appearance has changed a lot. 35, Shiki, you are a lot more vicissitudes than you were back then. Edward, your body is much stronger. It has to be said that these four have changed a lot. Even Rox did not recognize these people for the first time. Although the Rox at this time still harbored anger towards Golden Lion, Kaido, Charlotte Linlin. However, today, he did not intend to kill these three people. After all, the current new world also needs these people to maintain a balance. Hearing Rox's seemingly concerned greeting, Golden Lion and the others all turned a little dignified. Because they feel that this is the eve of the storm. No one knows whether the now gentle Rox will suddenly launch an attack in the next moment. I want to kill them. After a long silence, Golden Lion spoke first. Long time no see, Captain Rox. It's really been a long time, Shiki, if it wasn't because you betrayed me and put me to death, otherwise. I think we'll meet every day. Rox put his hands on his back and looked at him calmly, he said. Hearing Rox's words, Golden Lion's back suddenly shivered. Vigilantly placed his hand on the hilt of the knife around his waist, his pupils stared at Rox stubbornly. He knew that Rox still held a grudge against the Battle of the Valley of the Gods. Therefore, he must be ready for battle now, not sit still. Why are you so nervous, Shiki? Don't you sit down? Air sat on the chair and smiled. Advertisement hearing Air's words, the Golden Lion also set his sights on him. If it was only facing one Rox today, Golden Lion would not be so afraid of it. But if you add an Air, Golden Lion thinks that if they fight, there is absolutely no chance of winning. The horror of Air's strength, he had realized a long time ago. Even in Logue Town, I witnessed Air alone against the three main forces of the Roger Regiment and won with a complete victory. Today, Air also masters the ability to resurrect the dead. Golden Lion, I really don't know how amazing Air's strength is today. After staring at Air for a few seconds, Golden Lion took a deep breath, and then sat down on a seat in the tavern. At this moment, Charlotte Linlin stared at Rox seriously. Captain Rox, we are deeply sorry for what we did back then. Although now Charlotte Linlin is one of the best pirates in the New World. But in front of Air and Rox, he has absolutely no arrogance at all. Some time ago, the battle with Air also left a deep impression on her. The nations she created, with the exception of Cake Island, were not completely destroyed. The other islands were all destroyed by Air using the power of Tengai Shinsei. Air's strength has been experienced, and Rox's strength, she is naturally very clear. Now, she didn't dare to say anything to offend the two of them, so she could only resign. She didn't know if the Rox, now, wanted to kill her. But now, she must try to get Rox's forgiveness. After all, she definitely didn't want to deal with the two terrifying beings Rox and Air, no matter what. Really? Are you really sorry for me, Linlin? Rox asked with an intriguing smile on his face. Here Rox asked such a rhetorical question. Charlotte Linlin's face suddenly became heavy, and a dense cold sweat appeared on her forehead. For this sentence, she didn't know how to respond to make Rox satisfied. 0 katakana middle dot for flowers katakana middle dot katakana middle dot. If she said the wrong thing, she was afraid that Rox would get angry. So, her choice was to keep silent. Advertisement, ha ha ha. Don't be nervous, sit down first. Rox laughed. Hearing Rox's words, Charlotte Linlin, Kaido, Whitebeard, all sat somewhere in the tavern. Kaido didn't beat around the bush, but stared at Rox and asked bluntly. Captain Rox, what are you going to do to us? I originally wanted to erase all of you, Rox said lightly. The moment the words fell, Golden Lion, Charlotte Linlin, Kaido 3, all nervous. Putting his hand on the weapon, he looked at Rox vigilantly. Although he knew that this battle was going to be fought, there was no chance of winning. But they can't blame them for accepting the fate of death, right? Everyone is nervously waiting for Rox's next move. But, I've changed my mind. Rox threw the wine on the table to several people and said calmly. If Rox can live a long time in this world, he will personally assist heir to ascend to the highest throne. As a result, Golden Lion, Kaido, Charlotte Linlin and others would have no need to live at all. But unfortunately, his deadline is approaching today, and he cannot continue to assist heir. Therefore, this also caused him to be unable to erase these 3 people. Captain Rox, what do you want us to do? Hearing Rox's words, the Golden Lion asked. He knew that there must be conditions to make Rox give up the idea of revenge. However, as long as he can survive, no matter what conditions Rox puts forward, Golden Lion will choose to agree. After all, compared to dying in this sea, everything he once had disappeared. Golden Lion still chooses to live. It's easy for us to let you go. I need a few of you. Allegiance to heir. Rox stared at a few people and said seriously. Since he can't personally assist heir to dominate the world. Then he asked that these people submit to heir, assist heir, and reach the highest position. That's the Rox condition.